Chapter 1140. 1140 Kill them all. This. The middle-aged man's eyes widened and he was stunned. 7 spiritual god realm Masha clansmen, with the highest being at the 4th level of the spiritual god realm, were killed by Lu Ming in an instant. The middle-aged man suspected that he was dreaming. Moreover, Lu Ming looked so young. His combat strength was simply unimaginable. Big brother, it's settled. Lu Ming smiled and kept the 9 dragons bloodline. He split a part of his attention to begin refining. Small. You're amazing, you're really amazing. I'm impressed. The middle-aged man stuttered and sighed. Lu Ming smiled and did not say much. I'm Dushan. What's your name, little brother? The middle-aged man said. Lu Ming. Lu Ming answered. Brother Lu, I have something important to do. I can't accompany you anymore. Little brother, you have to be careful. After Du Shan finished speaking, he was about to fly in a direction. Big brother Du, what do you want? Maybe Lu Ming can be of help. Lu Ming stopped Du Shan. It was not easy for them to meet another human warrior. Lu Ming was just about to ask him about Xian Yanqing. How could he let Du Shan leave so easily? The human clan's gathering place I'm at is being attacked by the devil clan. I received the news and wanted to rush back to help, but I didn't expect to be blocked by the devil clan here. Du Shan sighed and was slightly anxious. A gathering place of the human race? I'll go with you. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. All right, with little brother's help, we might be saved. Du Shan's eyes also lit up. Lu Ming's combat strength was unfathomable and extremely powerful. He had the intention to ask Lu Ming for help, but Lu Ming had just saved his life and asked him to take the risk with him. He was too embarrassed to ask. Now that Lu Ming had taken the initiative to ask, he was naturally overjoyed. At that moment, Du Shan led the way while Lu Ming followed Du Shan. They flew at top speed towards the north. After flying for hundreds of thousands of miles, he heard heaven-suppressing battle cries. In the distance, a fortress made of a strange metal could be seen. Around the fortress, an intense battle was taking place. There were over 1,000 of them surrounding the fortress. Among them, there were many existences with powerful auras. Lu Ming used his spiritual senses to scan and discovered that there were dozens of spiritual god-level Masha clan members. The rest were advanced-stage spiritual embryo Masha clan members. There were only a few people in the fortress, about 20 or so, and all of them were spirit god powerhouses. They were fighting against the devil clan, but they were clearly at a disadvantage. Human, go to hell. With a shrill scream, one of the Mo Sha clansmen had a particularly powerful aura. He held a black and sharp bone spur in each hand, and his body was like a lightning bolt as he charged toward a human expert. The human expert had a cultivation of the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. However, he was unable to put up any resistance against the devil clan. The bone spike pierced through his glabella, and he was killed without even being able to let out a miserable cry. Peak 5th level spiritual god realm. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that this person from the demonic Sha clan had a cultivation at the peak of the 5th level of the spiritual god realm. He was the strongest existence in the demonic Sha clan. As for the human martial artists, the strongest was only at the 4th level of the spiritual god realm. Damn it, kill. When Du Shan saw this, he shouted and charged forward with his battle axe. Another one is here to die. The 5th level spiritual god realm fiend clansman's eyes were cold as he swept his gaze at Du Shan. He sneered and his demonic chi rolled. He flapped his pair of spikes and pounced toward Lu Ming like lightning. A battle axe floated above Du Shan's head. It was Du Shan's bloodline, a 4th level divine level bloodline. Du Shan transformed into a battle axe and slashed at his opponent. Ding, 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 ding. 2 crisp sounds rang out. The battle axe that Du Shan had transformed into was sent flying far away. Die! The devil clan member shrieked. The bone spike in his hand was thin and long, but it was extremely hard and sharp. It seemed to be able to pierce through everything as it stabbed towards Du Shan. Buzz! Buzz! Two teeth-numbing sounds rang out as the bone spikes of the Mo Sha clan pierced through the battle-axe Dushan had transformed into. An angry roar came from the battle-axe. The battle-axe trembled and dispersed, turning back into Dushan's figure. His face was pale as he retreated quickly. Die! The devil clansman's eyes were cold. The bone spur pierced through the air, aiming for Dushan's forehead. Right at this moment, a palm that was like a blade suddenly appeared and slashed at the bone spike. A terrifying power erupted, and the bone spike was broken into dozens of pieces with a clang. The palm blade cut horizontally and struck the shoulder of the demon Shah. Bang! The devil clansman's shoulder exploded, and he was sent flying like a cannonball, killing a few spirit embryo realm devil clansmen. Roar! The 9 dragons roared, and the devouring power burst forth, enveloping the Masha clansmen. The energy and blood essence of the spirit embryo realm demons were instantly devoured, turning them into dried corpses. The first, second, and third level spiritual god realm demons screamed in horror and turned into mummies under the devouring power. The human warriors were all stunned. As for the remaining Mo Sha clansmen, they roared madly and wanted to escape. However, under the terrifying devouring power, they felt as if they were stuck in a quagmire and could not move at all. Kill! Lu Ming rushed past them and cut down all the Masha clan members as if he was cutting grass. Buzz! The 5th level spiritual god realm Masha clansman was only injured but not dead. He flapped his wings and turned into a demonic light, trying to escape. He knew that a top human expert had come, and that one move had severely injured him. If he didn't escape, he would die. However, he was shocked to find that he could not escape at all. Lu Ming's figure was like a flickering light and a passing shadow. He caught up with the 5th level spiritual god realm Masha clan in an instant and appeared behind him. Let's die together. Torrential rain massacre. Seeing that they couldn't escape, the devil clansman let out an angry roar. His demonic chi soared into the sky, and he spread his wings. His entire body began to spin in the air. Its wings were like 2 sabers that cut through the air, bringing with them a storm of attacks. It was like a terrifying tornado that could destroy everything as it swept towards Lu Ming. 2 streams of dragon power burst forth in Lu Ming's body. He then executed the prison-suppressing heaven technique and struck down with his palm. This palm strike was like a heavenly blade, possessing the power to suppress everything. Boom! The storm of attacks from the Masha clan collapsed instantly. The palm blade landed on the body of the Masha clan, killing him. All his energy and blood essence were devoured by Lu Ming. In the castle, the humans' eyes were wide open, as if they had yet to react. Brother Lu Ming, thank you for saving me again. Otherwise, sigh. Du Shan walked over to thank Lu Ming, his voice full of emotion. If not for Lu Ming, he would have been dead. At this time, the human warriors in the castle finally reacted and flew over to thank him. They were even more shocked when they saw that Lu Ming had such combat abilities at such a young age. I've heard that there are many heaven's favorites in the outside world. The 5 magnates are the most powerful ones among the young generation. But in my opinion, Brother Lu, I'm afraid you're even stronger than the 5 magnates. An old man with white hair sighed. Every year, some people would be exiled here by the royal family. They had stayed in the demon realm for a long time, so they knew some things about the outside world. Chapter 1141. 1141 Chapter 1141 Devil Tablet Mountain. Lu Ming said that he did not dare to and then chatted with everyone for a while. Through their conversation, Lu Ming learned that these people, without exception, had offended the royal family or the powerful figures of the ancient Saint dynasty. There were even experts from the overlord forces among them. They might not know each other in the outside world, but they were very united in the Abyss Demon realm. If they didn't work together in the Abyss Demon territory, they would eventually be defeated by the Fiend clan and buried here. Similarly, the imperial family had set points for them. As long as they could complete it, they would be let out. However, the height of the points made people despair. However, They were all experts of the spiritual god realm and could live for 5,000 years. They were not willing to be locked up in the abyss demon territory for the rest of their lives. Therefore, they held on to the hope that they could accumulate enough points and leave this place. Therefore, they would constantly hunt down the Devil Clan, and in turn, the Devil Clan would kill them. That was why the Devil Clan had attacked the city today. In reality, it was common for the Fiend Clan to attack cities. However, the Fiend Clan that had come today was slightly stronger, and there were a lot more of them. Little brother Lu, let's have a chat in the castle. Du Shan invited. No need, but I do have a question that I would like to consult with all the seniors. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, What question? There's no harm in just saying it. As long as I know, I'll definitely tell you. The others chimed in. Dear seniors, have you seen the 16th princess? Lu Ming asked. The 16th princess? Are you talking about the 16th princess who has the bloodline of the royal family? I've not seen her, but I've heard that she's in the demon realm of Tartarus. Du Shan pondered for a moment and said, Many others also shook their heads. I've met Princess 16 once. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat when he heard the voice. It was the white-haired old woman. Senior, when was it? Where have you seen it before? Lu Ming asked anxiously. About a few months ago, about a few million miles away from here. I talked to the 16th princess and she said she wanted to go to the Devil Tablet Mountain. The old woman replied. What? The Devil Tablet Mountain? The others all gasped. Lu Ming's heart tightened and he said, The Devil Tablet Mountain? Is it very dangerous? It is indeed dangerous, Brother Lu. The Devil Tablet Mountain is a forbidden area in the Nine Serenities Devil Domain. Many powerful Devil Clan members have entered it, but they all died there. Humans are no exception. There's no exit. Du Shan sighed. There's no exit. Lu Ming started to feel anxious. Why would Xian Yanqing go to such a dangerous place? Seniors, do you have a map to the Devil Tablet Mountain? Lu Ming said. Brother Lu, you want to go to the Devil Tablet Mountain? It's really dangerous there. Although the inside of the Devil Tablet Mountain is extremely dangerous, there are many powerful Mo Sha clan members around the mountain. They cultivate in the outer area of the mountain and hope to get some opportunities. Therefore, the outer area of the mountain is also very dangerous. Little brother, you must be careful. The white-haired old woman persuaded. Thank you, seniors, but Lu Ming must go to the Devil Tablet Mountain. Lu Ming's tone was firm. Now that he knew of Xian Yanqing's whereabouts and that he might even be in danger, he had to go even if it meant going through mountains of daggers and seas of flames. Seeing Lu Ming's firm attitude, Du Shan, the white-haired old OU, and the rest heaved a long sigh and did not try to persuade him anymore. In the end, the white-haired old OU took out a map and gave it to Lu Ming. The map was very rough, but it roughly depicted the terrain and location of some parts of the Abyss Demon territory. On it was the general route of the Nine Nether Demon Tablet Mountain. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming will take his leave. Lu Ming kept the map and bade everyone farewell. He did not want to delay any further. Lu Ming turned into a ray of light, passing through the night sky and heading in the direction of the Devil Tablet Mountain at top speed. On the way, Lu Ming cast the illusionary breath technique and darkened his aura, making it somewhat similar to the aura of the Masha clan. Indeed, it saved him a lot of trouble along the way. The number of Masha clan members who attacked him was greatly reduced. Lu Ming's speed was very fast. He was hurrying along. A few months ago, Xian Yanqing went to the Devil Tablet Mountain. He should have been there by now. The Devil Tablet Mountain was so dangerous. How was Xian Yanqing doing? At the thought of this, Lu Ming's heart was burning with anxiety. He could not wait to rush to Xian Yanqing's side. The Devil's Tablet Mountain was in the depths of the Abyss Demon territory. It was very far from the castle where Du Shan and the rest were. At Lu Ming's speed, it took him 5 days to reach the area where the Devil's Tablet Mountain was. That's... Lu Ming stood high in the sky and looked into the distance. He was a little shocked. This area was filled with mountains. There were all sorts of strange plants growing in the mountain range. However, there was a mountain peak that stood out among the mountains. It could be seen at a glance even from a great distance. It was because the mountain peak was too majestic. It was like a group of cranes standing among the mountains. It was high up in the sky, and no one knew how high it was. The mountain was shrouded in black mist, and it was impossible to see the specific situation of the mountain peak. Is that the Devil Tablet Mountain? Lu Ming pondered in his heart, his eyes filled with shock and doubt. Ever since he got close to this place, he felt that the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel in his body was emitting a hot aura, as if it was about to appear from his spine. What's going on? Why did the Devil Tablet Mountain cause the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline to change? Lu Ming could not understand. Let's go. With a thought, Lu Ming flew toward the huge mountain that was filled with black mist. As they got closer, they could feel the magnificence of the giant mountain even more. The other peaks were also considered majestic and tall, but when compared to this peak, they were far inferior. The change in the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline also became more intense. What? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He felt a strong fluctuation in front of him. It was not just one but several. Each of them contained a powerful demonic might, and there were experts from the Mo Sha clan. Lu Ming restrained his aura to the extreme and flew forward. That human girl has obtained a treasure in the Devil Tablet Mountain. We cannot let that treasure fall into the hands of the human race. Let's attack together and kill her. Let's go together. That human girl has been surrounded and can't escape. She must die today. The treasures of the Devil Tablet Mountain belong to our Devil clan. A few shriveled and unpleasant sounds rang out as a few figures flew past in front of him. They were all from the demonic Sha clan, and their auras were very strong. With a quick glance, Lu Ming discovered that a few of them were at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm. Could the person they're talking about be Little Qing? Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed and he followed the 3 demons from a distance. Boom! Boom! Chi-chi! Not long after, a violent roar came from the front, as well as the sound of sharp weapons piercing through the air. The battle was still ongoing. This made Lu Ming's heart relax a little. In front of them, a few Mo Sha clansmen increased their speed and flew over like lightning. They flew over a few mountains and joined the battle while roaring. Not good. Using the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps, Lu Ming's figure crossed the last few hundred miles in an instant and arrived at the battlefield. In front of them, more than a dozen powerful demons were attacking a human woman. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat when he saw the woman. The woman was wearing a long black dress. Her beauty was unparalleled. Who else could it be but Xian Yanqing? Chapter 1142. 1142 Chapter 1142 Meeting Yanqing again. Who else could the beautiful lady in front of him be other than Xian Yanqing, whom Lu Ming had been thinking about day and night? It had been more than 3 years since Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing parted ways in 9 Dragons. After not seeing him for 3 years, Xian Yanqing had matured a little, but he had also lost some weight. His face and eyes were very cold. At this moment, Xian Yanqing's body was filled with demonic qi. He gently pressed his palms and a terrifying force field spread out in a radius of 100 miles, destroying everything. At the same time, there was a beautiful woman sitting on top of Xian Yanqing's head. She was surrounded by demonic power and demonic qi. She sat cross-legged on a black lotus and kept striking out with her palms to block the attacks from all directions. This was Xian Yanqing's bloodline, the 3rd bloodline. It was very similar to his 2nd bloodline, but there were 9 golden chakra rings around his body. Divine level 9th rank bloodline. Moreover, Xian Yanqing's cultivation had also entered the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. There were 11 people attacking Xian Yanqing. The 11 fiend clan members were all at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm. Each of them held a bone spike in their hands and attacked Xian Yanqing fiercely. Xian Yanqing's fearsome force field covered an area of 100 miles. The speed of the fiends was greatly affected. Even though Xian Yanqing focused on defense, he was still at a disadvantage. If this continued, defeat was imminent. Little girl, hand over the demonic statue and I can leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, you will end up in a miserable state. This human girl is really a national beauty. Even I'm tempted by her. After I capture her, I'll let her have a taste of my power. A series of unpleasant and ear-piercing sounds rang out. You're looking for death. At that moment, the killing intent in Lu Ming's heart exploded. In his body, the 8 dragon powers suddenly burst out, filling his body with an extremely powerful strength. Lu Ming took a step forward and charged into Xian Yanqing's force field like a black spear. He activated the prison's suppressing heaven technique and threw a punch at one of the demons. This devil clansman had never thought that someone would attack him at this time. He reacted and wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Bang! Lu Ming's punch landed directly on the back of the Masha clansman. A terrifying force exploded, piercing a large hole in the Masha clansman's body and killing him in one blow. When Xian Yanqing heard the commotion, he thought that more reinforcements from the Fiend clan had arrived, so he instinctively looked in their direction. When she saw Lu Ming's figure, her delicate body trembled and her eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment, her gaze was completely focused on Lu Ming. She could not move her eyes away. Buzz! A sharp sound was heard as it approached Xian Yanqing. Be careful! Lu Ming was shocked and furious. He rushed towards Xian Yanqing at top speed. At this moment, one of the demons seized the opportunity to attack Xian Yanqing. After Lu Ming's shout, Xian Yanqing finally reacted. He activated his force field and retreated quickly. However, he was still a step too late. His shoulder was pierced by the sharp-boned spur of the Fiend clan. A small wound appeared and blood flowed out. You're looking for death. Lu Ming let out a long howl as his third bloodline emerged. A trace of energy surged into Lu Ming's body, causing his hair and eyes to turn blood red. Kill! His third bloodline turned into a combat sword. Lu Ming held the blood-colored combat sword in his hand and used the 9 Dragons' Heaven stomping steps to appear in front of the sneak-attacking Fiend clan member. He slashed out with his sword, and a sword light burst forth, directly splitting the 6th-level spiritual god realm expert into 2. Lu Ming. Xian Yanqing did not care about his injuries. His eyes were still fixed on Lu Ming. He did not want to look away. She was afraid. She was afraid that all of this was just an illusion, a dream. Once she looked away, everything in front of her would disappear. She had already lost count of how many times she had had such a dream. Little Qing, I'm here. Lu Ming reached out and held Xian Yanqing's small hand. Xian Yanqing's hand was cold. The heat from Lu Ming's palm was transmitted to Xian Yanqing's small hand. Xian Yanqing's body trembled, and tears welled up in his big eyes. Lu Ming, is it really you? I'm not dreaming? Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming in a daze. His little hand clutched Lu Ming's big hand tightly, as if he was afraid that Lu Ming would disappear if he let go. Idiot, it's really me. Let's kill these Fiend clan members first. Lu Ming said gently, then scanned his surroundings. Lu Ming's sudden appearance and his lightning-fast killing of 2 of the Masha clan's experts shocked the other Masha clan members. They retreated far away and did not attack for a while. He's also a human at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. Just now, he launched a surprise attack and killed the 2 of us. There's nothing to be afraid of. If we join forces, it's enough to kill them. One of the Mo Sha clansmen said, his eyes cold. That's right, let's attack together and kill. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The remaining 9 demons attacked at the same time. The bone spikes in their palms pierced through the air and shot toward Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Sky Devil Force Field. Xian Yanqing finally collected his thoughts. With a shout, he pressed his palm and a terrifying force field exploded. After 3 years, Xian Yanqing had awakened his 3rd bloodline and his cultivation had reached the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. Her force field seemed to have made a breakthrough and become even more terrifying. The demonic energy field enveloped the area. At the same time, There was a terrifying destructive power in the energy field, which greatly reduced the speed of the Masha clan. However, Lu Ming was not affected at all. This intent. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He realized that Xian Yanqing's intent realm was more powerful than before. It was a terrifying demonic intent realm. Without much time to think, Lu Ming stepped forward. His killing intent was like a tide as he charged towards the Masha clan. He realized that the 8th dragon power was indeed powerful. Now that all 8 dragon powers were unleashed, his combat power was even stronger than before. Buzz! Lu Ming appeared in front of one of the Masha clansmen. His cold killing intent enveloped him, causing the Masha clansman to shudder. Whoosh! The blood-red sword light slashed toward the Fiend clansman. The terrifying power shocked the Fiend clansman, and he hurriedly blocked it with his bone spur. The bone spur was broken with a clang. With a flash of sword light, the arm of the demon Shah was cut off. The Masha clansman was horrified. He wanted to escape, but Lu Ming's second sword attack was launched. Poochie! Blood spurted out and a head flew high into the air. A 6th-level spiritual god realm demonic Shah clan member was killed in an instant. If Lu Ming were to deal with a 6th-level spiritual god realm demonic Shah clan alone, it would not be so easy to kill him without a sneak attack. It would most likely take some effort. However, with Xian Yanqing's help, killing a 6th-level spiritual god realm Mo Shah was a piece of cake. Buzz! After killing the one from the Masha clan, Lu Ming went on to kill another. At this moment, the two of them seemed to have returned to the past, back to the time when they were adventuring together in the East Continent. At that time, the two of them had also cooperated like this. The cooperation between the two of them was already very tacit. Chapter 1143. 1143 Chapter 1143 You finally came. Lotus Sword Kill. Xian Yanqing shouted. Black lotus flowers appeared around her. The petals formed a black lotus sword in the sky and attacked the Fiend clan. Each of the lotus swords was terrifyingly powerful. With intent lingering around them, they cut through the sky and directly cut open a hideous hole in the space. The Fiend clan members could only divert their attention to block the lotus swords, and their combat strength was once again affected. Poochie! Lu Ming rushed over and killed another Masha clan member in less than 2 moves. Not good. The cooperation between these two is too terrifying. Some of the Mo Shah clansmen cried out in fear. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's cooperation was terrifyingly powerful. It was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Their combat strength had increased by several times. The Devil clan retreated. What are you afraid of? Let's attack together. At this moment, an ear-piercing sound was heard. Not far away, a terrifying sharp light flew over, emitting a powerful aura. 7th-level spiritual god realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was a 7th-level spiritual god realm demon. When they discovered that a 7th-level spiritual god realm fiend had appeared, the other Fiend clan's confidence increased greatly. The 7th level of the spiritual god realm was much more powerful than the 6th level. Kill! Kill! The Masha clan tried their best to break through the force field and charged toward Lu Ming. Whoosh! The 7th level spiritual god realm fiend immediately charged at Xian Yanqing. He could already tell that Xian Yanqing had too much influence in the group battle. It would be much easier to deal with Lu Ming after dealing with Xian Yanqing. The 7th-level spiritual god realm Masha clansmen charged into the heavenly demonic force field, emitting a demonic shriek as they collided with the force field, bringing with them a series of flames. However, he still broke through the force field and charged towards Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing waved his hands and the black lotus sword flew towards his opponent, but it was also deflected by his opponent's bone spurs. Kill! At this moment, Lu Ming's figure moved and appeared in front of the 7th-level spiritual god realm Masha clansman. He slashed out with his blood-red combat sword and collided with the other party's bone spur. With a ding, Lu Ming and the other party retreated at the same time. The Masha clansman was taken aback. He did not expect Lu Ming to be so powerful. He was only at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm, but he could actually force him to retreat. Roar! The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming combined his bloodline and transformed into 9 dragons. The 9 dragons roared and their devouring power burst forth. Together with Xian Yanqing's force field, they enveloped the Masha. At the same time, he used the 9 dragon step and charged toward the Devil Clan. On the other side, Xian Yanqing also used bloodline fusion and turned into a magnificent otherworldly demon. His demonic power was vast, and his force field was even stronger. He pressed down with his jade-like hand, and a black jade-like palm print pressed toward the fiend. Boom! Boom! Facing the joint attack of the two, the 7th-level spiritual god realm Masha clan was forced to retreat and spit out large mouthfuls of blood. Prison guard kill. With the 9 dragon steps, every inch of his body was able to unleash the strangle hell heaven technique. The dragon claws swiped down and the dragon tail swept down. It was extremely terrifying. Moreover, Lu Ming had once comprehended a true dragon combat technique from the Myriad elephant jade wall of the Tianxia Academy. When they worked together, they were even more powerful. Bang! Blood kept spurting out of the mouth of the devil clansman. His last wing was torn off by the 9 dragons' claws. Then, the sky demon that Xian Yanqing had turned into slammed his palm on the chest of the fiend, almost splitting him into pieces. Although he didn't die, he was half dead. No, no! The devil clansman roared and wanted to escape. At this moment, he was extremely frightened. He had never expected that 2 ants at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm would be so powerful. The 2 of them had joined forces and actually beat him, a 7th-level spiritual god realm existence, to the point where he had no power to fight back. However, it was too late for him to escape now. Bang! The 9 dragons' dragon claws swiped down and smashed into the head of the devil clansman, piercing through his head. A 7th-level spiritual god realm martial artist died. Run! The hearts of the remaining Mo Sha clansmen almost stopped beating. This was too terrifying. An expert in the 7th level of the spiritual god realm had died just like that. It had only been a few moves. All of you stay. The 9 dragons roared, and the devouring power spread rapidly, engulfing the rest of the devil clan. At the same time, Xian Yanqing's demonic force field expanded and enveloped all the demons. Roar! With the 9 dragon steps, he instantly appeared in front of one of the Masha clansmen. With a swipe of his claws, he killed the man. The sky demon that Xian Yanqing had transformed into also stepped forward and slapped down with her jade-like palm. One of the fiend clan members was torn apart. With the 2 of them working together, killing a 6th-level spiritual god realm demonic Sha was as easy as chopping vegetables. No matter how much the fiend demons roared, it was useless. They were all killed. In less than a minute, the remaining demons were all killed, and their blood essence and energy were all devoured by the 9 dragons. At that moment, the 9 dragons shrunk rapidly and turned back into Lu Ming. Xian Yanqing also kept his blood meridian. The 2 of them stood in the air and looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with longing for each other. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing exclaimed. After the battle, Xian Yanqing was finally sure that everything was real and not a dream. Lu Ming had really come to the Abyss Demon territory and she had really seen him. At the same time, the 2 of them walked toward each other. They were very close to each other, and they stared at each other. Xian Yanqing couldn't hold back the tears in his eyes anymore. They flowed down his cheeks. Little Qing. Lu Ming reached out and wiped away the tears on Xian Yanqing's face. Lu Ming, you're finally here. Xian Yanqing pounced into Lu Ming's arms. Lu Ming hugged Xian Yanqing tightly as if he wanted to pull Xian Yanqing into his body and never separate. Little Qing, let's leave this place first. Lu Ming said. A great battle had just taken place here, so who knew when the Devil Clan would come again? Xian Yanqing nodded. Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and randomly chose a direction to fly in. After traveling more than 100,000 miles, Lu Ming found a hidden place and the two of them entered the mountain and river diagram. An estate world treasure. Xian Yanqing blinked his eyes. Okay, little Qing, you should heal first. Lu Ming asked in concern. Xian Yanqing's shoulder had been stabbed just now and it was not a light injury. Xian Yanqing nodded, sat down cross-legged and began to heal. Half a day later, Xian Yanqing's injuries were completely healed. On a mountain peak in the mountain and river diagram, the two of them sat side by side. Xian Yanqing's head was on Lu Ming's shoulder as they chatted about their experiences during this period of time. The two of them had not seen each other for more than 3 years and had too many things to say. Lu Ming told him about his experiences over the past few years. Xian Yanqing's heart was in turmoil. Every time he heard that Lu Ming was in danger, Xian Yanqing would exclaim softly and worry for Lu Ming. At this moment, Xian Yanqing had completely turned into a little woman. She leaned on Lu Ming's shoulder and hugged his arm. She would not talk back to Lu Ming, but she would also shout and want to step on him. She just wanted to listen to Lu Ming quietly. That was enough. Chapter 1144. 1144 Reunion after a long separation. When Lu Ming told him about how he came to the Holy City, participated in the competition of the younger generation, and how he entered the Abyss Demon territory, Xian Yanqing's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. Lu Ming, you've been deceived by them. Like me, it's very difficult to get 10,000 points. Then he looked at Lu Ming affectionately and said, Lu Ming, why are you so silly? It's all because of me that you're in this place. You fool, if I didn't come here to find you myself, I wouldn't be at ease. By the way, did you come here after you came back from 9 Dragons? Lu Ming asked. Xian Yanqing nodded and said, when I first came back, Xie Qitian sent someone to send me to the Abyss Demon territory. Unfortunately, although they knew that my bloodline was inclined to darkness, they didn't know that my bloodline was the heavenly demon bloodline. In the Abyss Demon territory, I was like a fish in water. My cultivation speed was faster than the outside world. Moreover, I've awakened the 3rd bloodline. Using the demon chi and demon stones, my cultivation speed was even faster. At this point, Xian Yanqing's voice turned cold. He seemed to be filled with hatred for the Xie family. Lu Ming tightened his grip on Xian Yanqing's arm. One could imagine that Xian Yanqing had been struggling and cultivating alone in the Abyss Demon territory for the past few years. He had been walking on the edge of life and death. Otherwise, he would not have such a high cultivation level. At the thought of this, Lu Ming's heart ached. Lu Ming, I'm so happy that you're here. Xian Yanqing's voice whispered in Lu Ming's ear. Lu Ming's head turned slightly. He looked at the beautiful face that was right in front of him and felt Xian Yanqing's gentle breathing. He could only feel his heart beating rapidly. This unpolished face was peerless and alluring. The faint smile that was brimming on her face seemed to be Lu Ming's everything. The two of them had not seen each other for a long time, so they naturally had a moment of warmth. It's really painful to the eyes. After an unknown period of time, a sudden cry interrupted the two of them. The two of them opened their eyes at the same time and saw Dandan not far away, staring at them with her eyes wide open. Xian Yanqing's face turned red. Even his ears and neck were red. Continue, you guys continue, don't worry about me. When he saw the two of them looking at him, Dandan said leisurely. Get lost. Lu Ming swung his palm, and a palm print condensed from quintessential essence blasted toward Dandan. Dandan was sent flying like a rock by Lu Ming's palm. Arg. Lu Ming, you're a guy who values your lover over your friends. No, I mean you're a guy who values your seniors over your friends. Dandan's voice came from far away. In the end, it turned into a black dot and disappeared in the air. No one knew how far it had flown. After Dandan's ruckus, the two's boiling blood also calmed down. Lecherous. Xian Yanqing tidied up his messy clothes and said with a red face. Lu Ming chuckled and held Xian Yanqing's hand. Little Qing, why did those Mo Sha race attack you earlier? Because of a golem. Xian Yanqing said. Then, a demon statue appeared in her hand. The demonic statue was very small, only the size of a fist, but it exuded a terrifying demonic will. This demonic will was arrogant and overbearing, as if it wanted to destroy the heavens and dominate the world. What a strong demonic intent! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. It was only a golem and it was already so terrifying. This golem was definitely a valuable treasure to cultivators of the demonic path or to the Fiend clan. No wonder so many powerful people from the Fiend clan wanted to surround Xian Yanqing. I obtained this devil statue from the Devil Tablet Mountain, Xian Yanqing said. Then he put away the golem and the pressure around him disappeared. Little Qing, did you really enter the Devil Tablet Mountain? I heard that it's very dangerous there, and everyone who entered died. Although he knew that Xian Yanqing was fine, Lu Ming could not help but worry. I've heard that the Devil Tablet Mountain is indeed very dangerous. In the past, many Devil Clan and human warriors had died. However, I don't know why, but when I get close to this place, I feel a strong throbbing in my heart, as if I'm being summoned by something. There seems to be something on the Devil Tablet Mountain that is attracting me. That's why I took the risk and entered the Devil Tablet Mountain. But the strange thing is that I didn't encounter any danger when I entered the Devil Tablet Mountain. Instead, I obtained an opportunity and had a breakthrough in my cultivation. Otherwise, I wouldn't have my current cultivation and I would still be able to bring out this devil statue. Xian Yanqing said. You also have this feeling? What is it that is attracting you? Lu Ming was shocked. Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Don't tell me you have one too. That's right. Ever since I got close to the Devil Tablet Mountain, my second bloodline has been burning and restless. It's as if something is attracting it. If I didn't control it, it would have appeared on its own. Lu Ming frowned slightly. He felt that this was very unbelievable. Little Qing, what's in the Devil Tablet Mountain? I don't know. I was just walking around the outer area and didn't go in. The Devil Tablet Mountain was covered in fog and I couldn't see clearly. I was planning to study this devil statue before entering the Devil Tablet Mountain, Xian Yanqing said. Then, the two of them discussed for a while more, but they still couldn't come to a conclusion. In the end, they decided to go and explore the Devil Tablet Mountain. This was because there was no danger when Xian Yanqing entered. The two of them chatted for a while more before walking out of the mountain and river diagram and looking at the Devil Tablet Mountain in the distance. Even though they were very far apart, Lu Ming's prison-suppressing steel bloodline still throbbed. As for Xian Yanqing, the bloodline at her spine was also emitting a faint blood-red light. Chapter 1145. 1145 Chapter 1145 Entering the Devil Tablet Mountain. The two of them concealed their auras and moved closer to the Devil Tablet Mountain. Along the way, they sensed the aura of the Mo Sha clan, and the two of them went around them. The two of them were getting closer and closer to the Devil Tablet Mountain. The closer they got, the more the prison-suppressing steel bloodline in Lu Ming's body throbbed and felt hot. Soon, the two of them were 100 miles away from the Devil Tablet Mountain. There was already a faint black mist permeating the air. The two of them didn't back off and continued to move forward. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed 100 miles and entered the Devil Tablet Mountain's territory. Suddenly, a loud roar rang in Lu Ming's mind. This voice was filled with a lawless feeling, but it also revealed a sense of helplessness and unwillingness. Black mist filled the air. With their cultivation, they could only see within 20 meters. Moreover, there was a terrifying pressure on the two of them, making it difficult for them to fly. They could only land on the ground and walk forward. Little Qing, be careful. Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and walked forward carefully. Buzz! Lu Ming's spine was suffused with a blood-red light. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline was beating continuously and it was getting stronger. Lu Ming controlled the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline and did not let it manifest. The two of them walked for half a day and felt that they were already halfway up the mountain. They were getting closer and closer to the peak. That throbbing feeling came from the top of the mountain. Xian Yanqing's presence here also had a strong attraction to it, and it made her bloodline throb. So many bones. All of a sudden, Lu Ming noticed that there were skeletons on the ground. The skeleton wasn't big, and it was obvious that it was from the Devil Clan. It was rumored that many of the Devil Clan had died here. It seemed to be true. Furthermore, these skeletons all had storage rings on their fingers. Xian Yanqing grabbed a storage ring in the air. The next moment, he took out a pile of black stones from the storage ring. The stones emitted a strong demonic qi. This is a demonic stone. It's very useful for those who cultivate the demonic path. To me, it's even more useful than a raw stone. Xian Yanqing explained. There are many storage rings here. They might contain magic stones. Take them. They will be of great use to you when we leave this place in the future. Lu Ming said. He reached out and drew in the storage rings one by one, handing them to Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing cultivated the demonic Tao, so these demonic stones were most suitable for him. Xian Yanqing took them and kept them one by one. Then, the two of them searched around and found many bones of the Mo Sha clan. Of course, there were also the bones of humans, but they were very few. Devil! 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 At this point, the sound became louder and louder. This sound was directly transmitted to the mind and not through the ears. It was as if there was a peerless demon emperor shouting and roaring from above. The two of them continued to move forward. Along the way, they collected the storage rings of every Devil Clan skeleton they came across. Along the way, they collected no less than 100 storage rings and a large number of demonic stones. Just these storage rings alone were a huge profit. After another half a day, the two of them finally reached the top of the mountain. The two of them did not encounter any danger along the way. This made the two of them secretly amazed. The Devil Tablet Mountain was very dangerous, and anyone who entered would die. This sentence could be verified by the bones of the Devil Clan and Human Clan along the way. However, the two of them had been very calm along the way. Other than the constant demonic sounds, there was no other movement. Buzz! When he arrived, Lu Ming's spine was filled with a bloody light. The prison-suppressing steel's blood meridian was beating wildly. Even Lu Ming himself could not suppress it. The bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel emerged with a loud vibration. It expanded rapidly and shook violently. Buzz! In front of them, on the mountaintop, there was a terrifying tremor. Then they saw the black fog roll and split into two. The scenery in front of them was completely exposed. Seeing the scene in front of them, their hearts trembled and they were dumbfounded. There was another stone tablet in front of him. A stone tablet. This stone tablet was extremely huge. It was like a majestic mountain. On the stone tablet, there was only one big word tablet. There was only one word, tablet, at the top of the stone tablet. It was uneven, as if it was not a complete stone tablet, but only a part of it. The stone tablet was filled with an ancient aura. Its color was very similar to Lu Ming's prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Buzz! Lu Ming's prison-suppressing steel bloodline flew out and stopped in front of the steel. The two of them kept shaking and emitted a bright light, as if they were responding to each other. Lu Ming, why do I feel that your bloodline is so similar to this stone tablet? It's as if they're one. Xian Yanqing was extremely surprised. Lu Ming himself was also extremely shocked. This was because he felt that this stone tablet gave him a very familiar feeling. He knew that the throbbing earlier had all come from this stone tablet. The two stone tablets trembled, and brilliant light filled the air. The Masha clansmen around the Devil Tablet Mountain also noticed it. The strange movement of the Devil Tablet Mountain, could it be that a peerless treasure has appeared? It's a brilliant light. A peerless demonic treasure has appeared. Let's go and take a look. Figures gathered at the Devil Tablet Mountain one after another. Each of them exuded a mighty demonic aura. They were all experts from the Devil Clan. Even the weakest among them was at the 5th level of the spiritual god realm. There were even experts at the 7th level of the spiritual god realm. A group of Mo Sha appeared 100 miles away from the Devil Tablet Mountain. At this moment, the black mist on the top of the Devil Tablet Mountain became very thin. One could clearly see the huge stone tablet shining brightly. However, the Devil clan stopped here and didn't dare to go any closer. The Devil Tablet Mountain's reputation wasn't just for show. Anyone who entered would die, so they stopped. However, when they saw the stone monument shining with a blinding light, the Devil clan couldn't help but give in. Now that the Devil Tablet Mountain has changed, it might not be dangerous. That's right. I saw that human girl go in and bring out a devil statue. Nothing happened to it. It's time for the Devil Tablet Mountain to come out. Shriveled sounds rang out one after another, and the eyes of many of the Masha clansmen shone with a scorching light. Charge! A portion of the Mo Sha finally couldn't take it anymore and roared as they charged towards the Devil Tablet Mountain. As soon as they entered the range of the Devil Tablet Mountain, a voice rang out in their minds, "Devil! Devil! Devil!" The demonic sound filled his mind and was filled with a terrifying destructive power. A few of the 5th and 6th level spiritual god realm demons screamed in pain. Their bodies were like dumplings in a pot, falling from the sky and landing on the ground. They were no longer breathing. At least 20 of them had died in an instant. A few of the 7th level spiritual god realm demonic Sha clansmen roared and retreated frantically, blood flowing from their 7 orifices. It can obliterate souls. A 7th level spiritual god realm demonic Sha clan member roared and retreated hundreds of miles in fear. The other Mo Sha clansmen who didn't move forward were rejoicing. They were rejoicing that they had held back. Otherwise, they would probably end up the same way. Chapter 1146. 1146 Chapter 1146 The True Form of the Prison-Suppressing Steel. At the top of the Devil Steel Mountain, Lu Ming's prison-suppressing steel bloodline and the huge steel sensed each other. They emitted a bright light and trembled continuously. At this moment, the shaking was getting more and more intense. Buzz! The huge stone tablet buzzed and the entire mountain shook. Huge rocks on the ground exploded and the stone tablet was rising slowly. The steel rose up as if it was going to leave the mountain with the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Slowly, the stone tablet rose up inch by inch. It seemed that a section of the stone tablet was embedded in the mountain. Boom! Suddenly, an extremely terrifying aura burst out from under the stone tablet. This aura was extremely overbearing and dominated the world. At the same time, a monstrous demonic chi filled the air, as if a supreme demon was about to be born. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing could vaguely see a tall figure under the stone tablet. It was a middle-aged man with a burly figure and long black hair. His demonic aura was overwhelming, like a demonic god. The aura of an emperor. This is an emperor, a demon emperor. Lu Ming's heart trembled. He could feel the mighty pressure of an emperor from this figure. This was the pressure unique to an emperor. Could it be that there's an emperor suppressed under the stone tablet? A demon emperor. Lu Ming's mind whirred and he thought of many things. Haha, after so many years, I can finally get away. The demonic figure let out an excited roar. Its terrifying aura surged and hit Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming's 5-colored concept surrounded his body. His essential core surged and his dragon power erupted to resist the pressure. The heavenly demon bloodline appeared above Xian Yanqing's head and blocked the aura. No, we can't let this demon emperor come out. Otherwise, little Qing and I won't be able to withstand a single slap from him. Lu Ming's mind turned and his eyes focused. His mind was completely immersed in the prison-suppressing steel's blood meridian. Come back here. Lu Ming roared in his heart. A bloody light spread out from his spine as he controlled the prison-suppressing steel bloodline with all his might, trying to retrieve it. Buzz! The blood meridian of the prison-suppressing steel trembled violently and was slowly pulled back by Lu Ming. Come back here. Lu Ming kept shouting in his heart. The blood-red light seemed to turn into a substance and his eyes were red. Whoosh! In the end, the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline was pulled back by Lu Ming. It turned into a ray of blood light and flew into Lu Ming's spine, disappearing. Boom! The bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel was taken back, and the light of the huge steel dimmed and fell down again. No! An unwilling roar came from under the stone tablet. With a loud boom, the huge stone tablet came crashing down, and the entire mountain shook violently. The monstrous demonic aura also disappeared in an instant. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing felt their bodies lighten, and they let out a long sigh of relief. The two of them looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. The two of them did not expect that there would be a devil emperor suppressed on the Devil Tablet Mountain. No wonder all the Fiend clan members who entered this place had died. It must be the doing of this devil emperor. Lu Ming, the reason why I feel my blood throbbing and a strong attraction is most likely because of this demon emperor. Xian Yanqing muttered. It should be so. Lu Ming nodded. Xian Yanqing was here because of the demon emperor, while he was here because of the huge stone tablet, a broken one. What is this stone tablet? Why does it have a connection with my bloodline? Lu Ming had many questions in his heart. Kid, use your bloodline and let me out. At this moment, a deep voice came from under the prison-suppressing steel. It was the demon emperor. Senior, you're the demon emperor, while the two of us are only low-level spiritual gods. If we let you out and you kill us with a single slap, wouldn't we be in deep trouble? Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, since you know that I'm the demon emperor, why would you do such a thing? You saved this emperor, so you are this emperor's benefactor. This emperor will definitely repay you generously. The demon empress continued to speak under the steel. That being said, I still don't trust you. Lu Ming said bluntly. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless in the face of an emperor. Otherwise, he would be killed with a single slap. There was silence under the stone tablet, as if they were thinking about what to say. After a while, the voice spoke again. Kid, your bloodline should be the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel, right? I didn't expect that someone in this world could really awaken such a bloodline. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but he did not say anything. Kid, let me tell you. The steel in front of you is the real prison-guarding steel, the original body of your bloodline. The demon sovereign's voice was heard, causing Lu Ming's heart to tremble. What? Is this broken steel the real prison-guarding steel? Lu Ming's eyes widened suddenly. He was in shock and he looked at the huge stone tablet in front of him in disbelief. Otherwise, why do you think your bloodline can resonate with this stone tablet? Because they were originally one. The demon empress continued. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were shocked. It was said that the bloodline awakened by all martial artists could be traced back to the world. It was real. Some of them might have gone extinct in the immemorial era and had never appeared again. Some could be found in the modern era. Lu Ming initially thought that the prison-suppressing steel might be an ancient item from a long time ago. He did not expect to see the real body in this world. This made it difficult for him to calm down. It is said that the prison-suppressing steel was a supreme divine object in the distant past. It was broken into several pieces in a great battle. The one in front of you is a fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. The prison-suppressing steel can suppress all living things in the world. If not for this steel, how could it suppress me? The demon sovereign explained Lu Ming's doubts. His tone revealed his unrivaled confidence. So, as long as you control your bloodline, you can take this prison-guarding steel away. If your bloodline is integrated with the real prison-guarding steel, you will obtain great benefits and a supreme divine item. If you can collect all the other pieces of the prison-guarding steel in the future, you can use this treasure to dominate the world. The demon empress continued to speak. Her words were filled with temptation. Lu Ming was indeed very tempted. There was a hint of passion in his eyes. Bloodline was just a bloodline. It could be said to be illusionary and had a part of the power of a real object. It could also be said to be a kind of inheritance. For example, warriors with the true dragon bloodline could comprehend the true dragon's combat skills and borrow part of the true dragon's power. The stronger they were, the stronger the power they could exert. However, it was not the true body, so it could not be as powerful as the true body. However, with the help of his main body, it was a different story. Lu Ming did not expect that he would encounter the true form of the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Now that he had encountered it, he really did not want to miss it. Lu Ming furrowed his brows tightly, various thoughts running through his mind rapidly. To release or not to release? Lu Ming could not make a decision. If he let the demon sovereign out and the demon sovereign went back on his word, they would be in real danger. Chapter 1147. 1147. The Sovereign of Chaos, Xiel Wan. Seeing that Lu Ming seemed to be moved, the demon sovereign continued, "Moreover, this girl's bloodline is very similar to mine. If I come out, I can pass on all my skills to her. With her talent, she will become an emperor in the future. She might even surpass me in the future." The demon empress continuously tossed out temptations. Moreover, they were all temptations that were difficult to refuse. The legacy of a demon empress was definitely a great temptation. "Lu Ming, you decide." Xian Yanqing held Lu Ming's hand and said, "Little Qing, it wasn't easy for me to find you, so how could I take you on an adventure? You don't have to take these worldly possessions." Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and was about to walk back. "Come back, what are you doing? Or do you not trust me? I, Xiel Wan, am actually the kind of person who goes back on his word?" Seeing that Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were about to leave, the demon emperor panicked and shouted continuously. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing shuddered at the same time. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. "Xiel Wan? Xiel Wan, the Sovereign of Chaos? How is that possible?" The two of them turned around again and looked at the huge stone tablet. "You're Xiel Wan?" Xian Yanqing opened his mouth, his eyes filled with disbelief. Xiel Wan, the unparalleled figure of the royal Xie family 30,000 years ago, was also a taboo of the royal Xie family. With his power alone, he had changed the entire central continent situation from the ancient Saint dynasty to today's divided lands. He was an alien bloodline of the Xie family, just like Xian Yanqing. However, this was a figure from 30,000 years ago. How could he still be alive? "That's right, I'm Xiel Wan, the sovereign of the chaotic heavens. Nuwa, your bloodline is very similar to mine, and you're also a variant of the Xie clan's bloodline, right?" The demon empress smiled meaningfully. "Impossible. As far as I know, emperors can only live for 10 to 20,000 years at most. If you are Xiel Wan, how could you still be alive?" Lu Ming said loudly. When the steel floated up, he had sensed the aura of life, not just a wisp of mark, which meant that Xiel Wan was still alive. How could an emperor live for 30,000 years? "It's all thanks to the prison-suppressing steel. It suppresses my body and slows down the flow of my life by several times. 30,000 years is only about 10,000 years for me. If I'm suppressed for another 30,000 years, I'm really going to disappear," the demon empress explained with a sigh. However, Lu Ming's gaze was still uncertain. "Lu Ming, what this person said should be true. I can sense that this person is from the same bloodline as me. Our bloodlines are very similar." Xian Yanqing whispered to Lu Ming. Was the other party really Xiel Wan? The two of them were still unable to calm down. It was said that Xiel Wan had rebelled and fought a great war with the imperial family. The battle was earth-shattering, and countless experts of the imperial family had been killed by Xiel Wan. In the end, Xiel Wan had still been defeated and killed by the experts of the imperial family. Could it be that Xiel Wan did not die, but was instead suppressed here? Back then, no one in the royal family could kill me. They could only suppress me here with the help of the prison-guarding steel, hoping that time would kill me. But they didn't expect that although the prison-guarding steel suppressed me, it also slowed down the loss of my life by several times. Boy, you and this girl from the Xie family must have been exiled here by the royal family, right? I can imagine that after what happened to me that year, the royal family and the Xie family must be more than 10 times more wary of foreign bloodlines. I'm surprised that they didn't kill you directly." The demon empress continued. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were silent. Do you want to be exiled to the demon realm of hell forever? As long as you let me out, I'll take you and break out of the abyss demon realm. Don't worry, I've always been a man of my word, and I'll always repay kindness and hatred. The demon empress continued. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were moved by his words. It was even more tempting than getting the prison-suppressing steel or the demon emperor's inheritance. The biggest problem they were facing now was how to get out. It was obvious that Xie Qitian wanted to exile them here for the rest of their lives, trapping them in the abyss demon territory. However, Lu Ming still had many things to do. He had besieged Mount Liang. His family and friends were all at Mount Liang. He had to get out. All right, I'll let you out. In the end, Lu Ming decided to take a gamble. This was their only chance. All right, you just need to control the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel and take it. That will do. The demon emperor's voice rang out. Buzz. Lu Ming did not hesitate anymore. With a thought, the prison-suppressing steel bloodline emerged. As soon as the prison-suppressing steel bloodline appeared, it had a strong connection with the huge steel. It grew rapidly, shook continuously, and emitted a bright light. Collect! Lu Ming shouted and controlled the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline, trying to put the huge steel away. Wang wang wang! The giant stone tablet kept shaking. The word, tablet, on it was glowing and it was almost identical to the word on the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Be it the strokes or the aura, they were all the same. Lu Ming was certain that this was the true form of the prison-suppressing steel. It was a fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. The fragment of the prison-suppressing steel slowly floated up and rose into the air. Demonic chi filled the sky below. The burly figure appeared again, and a vast demonic might filled the sky. Collect! Lu Ming shouted. The fragment of the prison-suppressing steel shook and flew into the sky with a loud bang. However, the demonic shadow below also flew out with the prison-suppressing steel and entered it. One could see that a huge demonic shadow was trapped in the fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. What's going on? Lu Ming was a little surprised. I've been suppressed by the fragment of the prison-suppressing steel for too long. My demonic body is almost obliterated, and my demonic power is almost exhausted. The aura of the fragment and I have almost become one. Even if the fragment leaves the ground, it's still suppressing me. I can't get out unless I recover my cultivation to the Emperor realm. The Demon Emperor, Xiao Wan, sighed. I see. Then how will you help us get out of the Abyss Demon realm? Lu Ming said. It's simple. You just need to merge the fragment with your blood and put it in your spine. Then, you'll have initial control over it. As long as you withdraw the suppressing power, I can get out of it. However, I can't go too far away from the fragment, or I'll still be suppressed by the suppressing power. Xiao Wan explained. Lu Ming nodded and began to control the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel to merge with the fragment. A moment later, the bloodline of the prison-guarding steel merged with the fragment. At this moment, the fragment of the prison-suppressing steel shrunk rapidly and merged with the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel. He could clearly see that the lower part of the bloodline was shining like a real entity, taking up about 1/3 of the area, while the upper 2/3 still looked unreal. This was the real fragment of the prison-guarding steel. There was no mistake. Collect! With a single thought, the prison-suppressing steel turned into a ray of light and sank into Lu Ming's spine. Chapter 1148. 1148 Chapter 1148 Charge out. Then, with a thought, the prison-suppressing steel bloodline appeared again. If I perform the bloodline fusion now and turn into the prison-suppressing steel, I'm afraid the power will be amazing. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He could feel waves of vast energy coming from the prison-suppressing steel's blood meridian. The level of the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline did not increase. It was still at divine level 7. However, Lu Ming could feel that its power was very shocking. If he used the bloodline fusion, it would not be weaker than a divine level 9th bloodline. It might even be stronger. My cultivation is still too weak, so I can't fully exert the power of the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. As my cultivation improves, I'll be able to exert more power. Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind and he smiled. This way, the fusion of the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline would become his most powerful trump card. I wonder if I'll be stronger if I use the prison-suppressing heavenly art. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. One could still see Xie Luan's figure at the bottom of the prison-suppressing steel, faintly discernible. Lu Ming's mind sank into the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. He adjusted the suppression power of the prison-suppressing steel bloodline on purpose, adjusting the suppression on Xie Luan. Buzz! The prison-suppressing steel shook, and Xie Luan stepped out of it and appeared in the air. Boom! A vast demonic might burst out and broke through the clouds. Haha, I'm finally out. Xie Luan laughed heartily. His long hair was loose, and his brows were sharp and his eyes handsome. One could tell that he had been a peerless beauty in his youth, but now he seemed to have gone mad. Lu Ming could understand. A person who had been suppressed for 30,000 years would be considered lucky if he did not go crazy. After a long while, Xie Luan finally calmed down. He looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing and said, "Let's go, I'll bring you guys out of here." A wave of demonic energy swept up Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Xie Luan took a step forward and appeared at the periphery of the Devil Tablet Mountain. Many of the Mo Sha clansmen looked at them in shock. It just so happens that I have some tonics that can help me recover some of my strength. Xie Luan's cold voice came out of his mouth. The next moment, a terrifying demonic qi exploded from his body, enveloping all the fiend clan members below. Not good, let's go. Ah, save me. Within the demonic qi, shrill screams were heard. Lu Ming saw many 5th and 6th level spiritual god realm demons turn into ashes without any resistance, turning into pure energy that was absorbed by Xie Luan. Xie Luan's body was like a bottomless abyss, constantly absorbing the energy. The few 7th level spiritual god realm demons were able to resist for a while, but as Xie Luan took a step forward, they exploded in the air one by one, turning into energy and being absorbed by Xie Luan. Xie Luan's skin was wriggling, and his aura was getting stronger. It's a pity that these Mo Sha are too weak. My immortal demon body can only recover a little. I'm still thousands of miles away from my peak. Xie Luan sighed. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were secretly shocked. The other party was indeed the demon emperor who had caused chaos in the world. He was truly terrifying. He had been suppressed for 30,000 years and had just come out, but his strength was still shocking. We can't stay here for long. I'm afraid the royal family and the Xie family will find out soon. Now kill our way out. Xie Luan's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He wrapped Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing in his demonic power and stepped forward at a terrifying speed, heading for the exit of the Abyss Demon Realm. In just a few moments, they had covered an unknown distance. The city at the exit of the Abyss Demon Realm was already in sight. Above the city, there was a light barrier that enveloped the entire city. Looking down from the sky, there were powerhouses guarding the city. In a flash, Xie Luan, Lu Ming, and Xian Yanqing appeared in the sky above the city and struck down with a palm. A terrifying palm print hit the light shield. The light shield trembled violently, and a hole was created. Xie Luan rushed in. Who is it? Not good, a demonic creature has broken in. Roars rang out from the city, and powerful qis rose up and charged at Xie Luan. So many experts. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Those auras were all powerful, overbearing, and extremely terrifying. Many of them were at the 5th or 6th level of the spiritual god realm, and he could even sense many of them above the 7th level of the spiritual god realm. All of you shall become my nourishment. Xie Luan's eyes were cold, and his demonic qi was monstrous. He struck out with his palm, and a group of spiritual god realm experts exploded. They turned into rolling energy and poured into Xie Luan's body. His aura grew stronger and stronger. Miserable shrieks continued to ring out as experts were killed one after another. Not good, This person is too strong. The experts were shocked and retreated frantically. You're looking for death. At this moment, a few terrifying auras rose from the depths of the city. A few figures appeared in front of them in an instant. So strong, he has surpassed the 8th level of the spiritual god realm. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The people who appeared later were absolutely terrifying. Their auras were strong and above the 8th level of the spiritual god realm. There were 2 whose auras were vast and unfathomable. 2 9th-level spiritual god realm and 2 great circle spiritual god realm. Hee. Ciel Wan sneered and charged forward. Endless demonic chi condensed into a saber and slashed at his opponent. His opponent also exploded with powerful strength, and a terrifying attack poured towards Ciel Wan. The entire city was shaking and emitting a resplendent light. One after another, large formations were activated. If it weren't for these large formations, it would have already been destroyed. Ah! A scream was heard. A 9th-level spiritual god realm expert's head was cut off by Ciel Wan. His spiritual god flew out and was swept up by demonic chi. Ciel Wan absorbed it, and his aura grew stronger. The remaining 3 people's expressions changed drastically. They didn't dare to block it, and instead retreated rapidly. Ciel Wan didn't give chase. He led Lu Ming and the other man toward the exit. Where do you think you're going? A majestic voice resounded. In the sky, a huge palm print was formed. It was as big as a mountain, and it was filled with a mysterious aura. That aura was much stronger than the intent realm of heaven and earth. Paragon. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was the attack of a supreme martial artist. A supreme being was also considered to be in the great circle of the spiritual god stage. However, a supreme being was already half a step into the martial emperor stage and possessed some of the martial emperor's might. Their combat strength was much stronger than other great circle spiritual gods. Ciel Wan's expression turned grave as the supreme martial artist made his move. The demonic blade in his hand exuded a terrifying demonic might. Chaotic heavens, demonic blade. Ciel Wan's saber slashed out, splitting the sky in half. The terrifying, pitch-black saber projection crashed into the giant palm. Boom! With a deafening boom, the giant palm was split open by the demonic blade, but Ciel Wan was also forced to retreat. In front of him, a white-haired old man stepped out. The aura of a supreme martial artist was revealed on his body. What kind of demonic being dares to barge into this place? The white-haired old man opened his mouth to speak, but before he could finish his words, he was stunned. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Ciel Wan, his eyes filled with fear, shock, and disbelief. What? How is that possible? The white-haired old man let out a roar of disbelief. Chapter 1149. 1149 Chapter 1149 Shock in the royal family. The white-haired supreme martial artist was completely stunned when he saw Ciel Wan. His eyes widened in shock, and he momentarily forgot to attack. Seizing the opportunity, Ciel Wan led Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing and dashed toward the exit. A few experts tried to stop him, but Ciel Wan sent them flying with a single slap. Ciel Wan, along with Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing, dashed into the door of light and disappeared. The white-haired supreme being only came to his senses after he watched Ciel Wan, Lu Ming, and the others disappear. Ark, who is that person? How could he be so powerful? An expert flew over to the white-haired sovereign and asked. They were very curious. The white-haired supreme martial artist had clearly been able to stop the other party, but he had stopped at the critical moment. I have seen this person's portrait before. This person? This person is the sovereign of chaos, Ciel Wan. The white-haired sovereign said in a heavy voice. What? The others widened their eyes in disbelief. Hurry up! The white-haired sovereign shouted and chased after the exit. The surroundings blurred and Lu Ming and the rest appeared from another door of light. This door of light was the entrance to the holy city. Kill! As soon as Ciel Wan appeared, he immediately charged upward. The demonic chi surged as it broke through all the barriers. Xie Luan broke through all the barriers at the entrance, and finally broke through the earth and into the sky. Sila! Xie Luan tore open the space and stepped into the crack with Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing, disappearing. At this moment, in the center of the sacred city, deep within the palace, Xie Qiqian, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes. There was a look of shock and doubt in his eyes. What a powerful demonic chi and demonic power. This is the entrance to the abyss demon realm. Did something happen there? Xie Qiqian mumbled. He then stood up and took a step forward. The space around him split open and he disappeared. In the next moment, he reappeared in the sky above the entrance of the abyss demon territory. At this moment, the white-haired supreme martial artist was rushing out in a hurry and happened to bump into Xie Qiqian. Sage Emperor, bad news? The white-haired old man said in a panic. What's the matter? Xie Qiqian furrowed his brows. He had a bad feeling about this. What could possibly cause a supreme martial artist to be in such a panic? Sage Emperor, it's Xie Luan. I saw Xie Luan. The white-haired sovereign said. What? Xie Qiqian's eyes widened in shock. What did you just say? You're saying that the person who just charged out of the demon realm of Tartarus is Xie Luan, the sovereign of chaos? Xie Qiqian asked this question a few times, showing how shocked he was. They look exactly the same. I don't know if it's real or not. The white-haired sovereign said. Let's go and take a look. Even though Xie Qiqian was a saint emperor and his expression remained unchanged, he lost his sense of propriety and became extremely anxious after hearing that it was Xie Luan. Xie Luan was a taboo of the royal Xie family. Back then, the royal Xie family dominated the central continent and even the divine wilderness continent. They were extremely prosperous and had many experts. However, because of Xie Luan, their strength had plummeted and declined by an unknown amount. Now, if it really was Xie Luan, how could the imperial family resist him with their current strength? Xie Qiqian hurriedly entered the abyss demon territory and tore through space. Soon, he arrived at the Devil Tablet Mountain. Xie Qiqian stood in the sky above the Devil Tablet Mountain and looked at the empty mountain. A terrifying aura emanated from his body. 30,000 years, how could he still be alive? Xie Qiqian mumbled to himself. Buzz. Buzz. The space rippled, and two old men appeared beside Xie Qiqian, exuding a vast emperor's might. Near the Devil Tablet Mountain, there were still some scattered powerful beings from the Masha clan. When they felt the terrifying aura in the sky, they all fled for their lives. The Devil Tablet that suppressed Xie Luan has disappeared. Could it be that Xie Luan is still alive? How is it possible that he hasn't died in 30,000 years? An old emperor said in a trembling voice, revealing a trace of shock. In the past, they had heard about the strange phenomena of the Devil Tablet Mountain, but they didn't pay much attention to it. They thought that it was just a trace of Xie Luan's demonic will. After all, how could an emperor live for 30,000 years without dying? This seemed to go against the rules of heaven and earth. They had no idea that the steel that suppressed Xie Luan was the prison-guarding steel, nor did they know that the prison-guarding steel had actually slowed down the rate at which Xie Luan's life was flowing away. Xie Luan is simply heaven-defying and can't be measured with common sense. Moreover, the guard said that he brought Lu Ming and Yanqing with him. This must be related to them, said Xie Qiqian. His voice was filled with coldness. Your Majesty, what do you plan to do? An old emperor asked. Even if Xie Luan is still alive, he can't be completely fine after being suppressed for 30,000 years. His vitality must have been greatly damaged, and his strength must have been greatly reduced. Otherwise, with Xie Luan's character, he wouldn't have fled in such a hurry. Use the Heaven Secrets instrument and lock onto Xie Luan's Lu Ming's location. At the same time, spread the word to all the overlords and forces to kill Lu Ming. Those who succeed will be rewarded with a tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure. At this moment, Xie Qiqian had already regained his calm, reenacting the bearing of a generation's saint emperor. At first, he wanted to say, Xie Luan, but he changed his tone and said, Lu Ming. He had a vague feeling that this matter had something to do with Lu Ming. In the past, Xian Yanqing had been in the Abyss Demon territory for so long, but there had been no trouble. However, Lu Ming had only been in there for a short time, and now there was such a big mess. He did not believe that this was a coincidence. Yes, Your Majesty. The two old emperors bowed. Xiao Wan brought Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing along as they tore through space. After 7 or 8 consecutive times, Xiao Wan stopped, his breathing weak. I've been suppressed for 30,000 years, and my vitality has been greatly damaged. My demonic body has almost collapsed, and I don't have much strength left. The supplements I absorbed before were too weak, and I've almost used them up. I can't help you anymore. Xiao Wan sighed. How can Senior recover? Lu Ming asked. I need supplements. I'll naturally recover by hunting experts. If I can kill an emperor, I might be able to recover my emperor's strength. Xiao Wan smiled. Lu Ming was speechless. Kill the emperor? Forget it, he didn't want to die. Of course, there are other ways. Although I was suppressed back then, I still have a backup plan. Take me to the border between the central continent and the east continent. I have a backup plan there. If I go there, I can recover some of my strength and I can protect myself. Xiao Wan said. Lu Ming nodded. It was normal for a person like Xiao Wan to have a backup plan. Then, Xiao Wan gave Lu Ming an address. He turned into a beam of light and disappeared from Lu Ming's spine, entering the fragment of the prison suppressing steel. Let's go. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing looked at each other and flew toward the east. However, the two of them suddenly stopped after flying for a short while. This was because there was suddenly an endless flash of light above Lu Ming's head. These lights then gathered together and formed a spherical object. There were waves of mysterious fluctuations that spread into the distance. Chapter 1150. 1150 Heaven's Secrets Instruments Projection. Not good this. Could this be a Heaven's Secrets instrument? Xian Yanqing exclaimed in shock. Heaven's Secrets instrument? What is a Heaven's Secrets instrument? Lu Ming looked at the ball of light above his head and frowned. With such a huge ball of light on his head, how could he travel? At this moment, Xia Qitian's figure reappeared. He looked at the sky and sighed. As expected, the imperial family still used the Heaven's Secrets instrument. Senior, what is a Heaven's Secrets instrument? Lu Ming asked. You should know about the secret chamber of commerce, right? Xia Qitian said. Lu Ming nodded and said, I heard that the Horizon Chamber of Commerce is controlled by the royal family, the Xie family. That's right. The Heaven's Secret Chamber of Commerce was founded by the royal Xie family. Their goal is to grasp the news from all over the world. They use the Heaven's Secret instrument to see through many things that others don't know. At the same time, the Heaven's Secret instrument has another function, which is to pursue and pursue. As long as you can grasp a person's aura and activate the Heaven's Secret instrument, you can condense a projection of the Heaven's Secret instrument above that person's head and find that person's location. Now, the imperial family has obviously activated the Heaven's Secrets instrument. The projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument will emit a kind of Heaven's Secrets force field. As long as an inscriber makes a disk array that can sense the Heaven's Secrets force field, they will be able to sense the approximate location of the Heaven's Secrets instrument projection and lock onto your position from there. I'm afraid that it won't be long before you are found. Xiao Wan said. It's actually so magical? Lu Ming frowned. He circulated the essential core in his body and threw a few punches in succession. A few rays of fist radiance shot up into the sky and pierced through the space. However, they were of no use to the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection and directly passed through it. It's useless. The Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection can't be destroyed. Unless the other party stops operating the Heaven's Secrets instrument, the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection will always be there. Xiao Wan said. I don't believe it. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he formed a seal with his hands. 2 light doors appeared in the sky. It was the sealing gate of the 9 seals of the Gate of God. The two doors of light landed on the two sides of the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection, emitting a resplendent light. Under the light of the ceiling door, the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection actually dimmed and slowly shrank. This is the 9 seals of the Gate of God? Xiao Wan's eyes lit up. Bang! Bang! In the sky, the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection, which was about to dim, suddenly shone brightly again. The 2 gates of sealing exploded. The 9 seals of the Gate of God are useless. Lu Ming frowned. I didn't expect you to have mastered the 9 seals of the Divine Gate. This is the ultimate technique of the sky-sealing Divine Warrior. With the 9 seals of the Divine Gate, you should be able to seal the Heaven's Secrets instrument projection for a while. However, your cultivation is too weak, so you can't seal the Heaven's Secrets instrument projection. How about this? You can teach me the 9 seals of the Divine Gate. When I understand it, I can definitely seal the Heaven's Secrets instrument projection for a while and buy us some time. Xiao Wan suggested. All right. Lu Ming agreed without thinking. It was just a secret technique, so what if he passed it on to Xiao Luan? As long as it could solve their current predicament. Lu Ming then handed the jade talisman that recorded the 9 seals of the Gate of God to Xiao Wan. Xiao Wan's eyes lit up. He did not expect Lu Ming to be so decisive. This kid will definitely be a number 1 figure in the future. Xiao Wan thought. All right, keep flying east. As long as you keep moving, it will increase the difficulty of the other party finding you. Xiao Wan said. Then he entered the fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. Little Qing, you should enter the mountain and river diagram first. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing nodded. She also understood that it would be more convenient for Lu Ming to act alone. After a flash of light, Xian Yanqing entered the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming took a step forward and continued to fly toward the east. Using the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps, Lu Ming was as fast as a stream of light. Moreover, he was flying in a remote direction. On this day, the entire central continent was in shock. The royal family, the Xie family, sent a message to all the major forces in the world. Not only were they the overlords, but they were also the forces that were a level lower than them. The royal family activated the Heaven's Secrets instrument and condensed a Heaven's Secrets projection on Lu Ming. They called on all major forces to kill Lu Ming. Whoever killed Lu Ming would be rewarded with a tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure. Once the news was out, Central Continent was in an uproar. The royal family had actually activated the Heaven's Secrets instrument and its target was Lu Ming. If they remembered correctly, didn't Lu Ming enter the Abyss Demon realm after the million-year sacrifice? Many people who knew the inside story knew that the score that Xia Qiqian had set for Lu Ming was to imprison him for life. It was impossible for him to achieve that score. However, the royal family had activated the Heaven's Secrets instrument to kill Lu Ming. How did Lu Ming escape? Most importantly, the royal family's reward was a tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure. This shocked all the major forces, regardless of whether they were overlords or lower-level forces. Then they became greedy. The royal family and the Xie family were actually willing to take out a tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure. As its name suggested, it was a tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure that could help martial artists transcend their tribulations. A martial artist's journey was filled with many tribulations. Not counting the other tribulations, just the heavenly tribulations alone were not few in number. There was a heavenly tribulation to break through to the martial king realm. There was a heavenly tribulation for breaking through to the spiritual god realm. When a spiritual god broke through to the emperor realm, there would also be a heavenly tribulation. There were many tribulations, and each tribulation was more terrifying than the previous one. How many people could survive all of them? As for tribulation-transcending heavenly treasures, they could help people transcend their tribulations. They could be used regardless of their cultivation level. It could be said that the success rate of using a tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure to break through to the martial king realm was 100%. the success rate of breaking through to the spiritual God realm would increase by 50%. Breaking through to the Emperor realm would also increase the success rate of transcending the tribulation by several times. How tempting was this? Which force? Which expert would not be tempted? Moreover, tribulation transcending heavenly treasures could be used repeatedly. If one person used it, another person could also use it. This was too important for a large force. How many experts could it increase? The most fatal temptation was to a supreme martial artist. The next step for supreme beings was to break through to the Emperor realm. Tribulation transcending heavenly treasures were fatally tempting to them. Immediately, the various overlord forces and the forces one level lower refined array disks that could sense the heaven's legacy force field to sense Lu Ming's location. Lu Ming kept flying. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. He had no idea how far he had flown. There was a projection of the heaven's secrets apparatus above his head, so he naturally couldn't take the teleportation array. He could only rely on himself to fly. Not good, Lu Ming. There's a powerful being approaching from the north. It's a perfected spiritual god. Suddenly, Xie Luan's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. Great circle of the spiritual god stage. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. With his current cultivation, if he were to encounter a great circle spiritual god, death would be the only outcome. There was no possibility of him resisting at all. I'll take you away. Xie Luan's figure appeared. He mustered his remaining strength and tore open the space. He brought Lu Ming into the space and disappeared. Just as Xie Luan took Lu Ming away, a terrifying sword light flew over from the distance. It was a skinny old man, holding a formation disc in his hand. His face was extremely gloomy. Damn it, I clearly sensed that he was here just now. How did he disappear in the blink of an eye? Chapter 1151. 1151 Chapter 1151 Killing enemies in succession. Somewhere far away, the space cracked open and Xie Luan stepped out of it with Lu Ming. At this moment, the demonic qi on Xie Luan's body was dim, and he looked somewhat dispirited. Lu Ming, I've already done my best and exhausted the last bit of my energy. I can't tear space to travel anymore. I'll be relying on you next. Xie Luan said. Lu Ming nodded, frowning slightly. He was considering finding a place to hide. He would hide in the mountain and river diagram and wait until Xie Luan had successfully cultivated the 9 seals of the Gate of God. He didn't believe that the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument could still appear after entering the mountain and river diagram. At this moment, Xie Luan's eyes flickered. He looked in a direction and sneered. I didn't expect that even some 5th and 6th level spiritual god level trash would come to join in the fun. Lu Ming, you should have no problem dealing with 5th and 6th level spiritual god trash, right? Get me some tonics. With that, Xie Luan entered Lu Ming's body and disappeared. Lu Ming stood in the air and waited quietly. Buzz. Bush. Not long after, a series of air-piercing sounds rang out in the air as sword lights tore through the void and flew over. In the blink of an eye, the 5 sword gleams disappeared and 5 figures stood around Lu Ming, surrounding him in the middle. Among the 5 figures, there was an old man and a middle-aged man. However, they were all wearing the same white robe and carrying a long sword on their back. The Heavenly Martial Sword Faction. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold killing intent. Among the 5 people, 2 were at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm, and 3 were at the 5th level of the spiritual god realm. All of them were from the Heavenly Martial Sword Faction. Lu Ming knew that this territory was most likely the territory of the Heavenly Martial Sword Faction. Otherwise, how could he have encountered 5 people at once? They were all from the Heavenly Martial Sword Faction. We're the first to find it. What great luck! A middle-aged brawny man laughed loudly. His aura was violent, and the aura of a 6th level spiritual god was revealed without a doubt. He looked at Lu Ming with a burning gaze. If he killed Lu Ming, he would have a heavenly tribulation transcending treasure. At the thought of this, his heart trembled with excitement. Although he's young, he can't be underestimated. I heard that he displayed terrifying combat strength in the Holy City, second only to Long Chen. An old man in the 5th level of the spiritual god realm said with a serious expression. What are you afraid of? No matter how strong he is, he's only at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. We have 2 6th level spiritual gods and 3 5th level spiritual gods here. Can he still overturn the heavens? The middle-aged man from before said, full of confidence. Are you done with your nonsense? Lu Ming's cold voice stunned the 5 people from the Sky Martial Sword faction. They looked at Lu Ming in shock. Enough of your nonsense, I'll send you on your way. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ming's aura exploded, and 8 streams of dragon energy instantly erupted in his body. He took a step forward and rushed toward a 5th-level spiritual god realm expert, striking out with his palm. Sila! This palm was terrifyingly powerful. The space crumbled like tofu under the palm, and the terrifying aura completely enveloped the other party. The man's eyes widened and he looked extremely frightened. However, he did not even have the chance to scream before he was torn into pieces by Lu Ming's terrifying strength, his blood splattering across the sky. Damn it! You're looking for death? How dare you sneak attack? The other 4 were stunned for a moment, then they roared and unsheathed their swords. A vast sword power rose into the sky. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. The 3rd bloodline appeared above his head and a wisp of energy surged into his body. Lu Ming's body was covered in a bloody light and his killing intent swept out like a tide. A drop of blood turned into a blood-red sword. Lu Ming held it in his hand and slashed. Whoosh! With a flash of blood-red light, it slashed toward the middle-aged man in the 6th level of the spiritual god realm. Enveloped by the endless killing intent, the middle-aged man shuddered and his eyes were filled with fear. He tried his best to slash out with his sword, but the sword radiance collapsed under Lu Ming's blood-red sword radiance. The blood-red sword radiance cut through the middle-aged man's glabella. Poochie! The middle-aged man was split in half, and even the spiritual god did not manage to escape. Seeing this scene, the remaining 3 people were scared out of their wits. How could Lu Ming be so terrifying? Even an expert at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm was killed by a single sword strike. This was a gap of 3 levels. Run, run, run. At that moment, they only had one thought in their minds, and that was to escape. The further he ran, the better. This was a god of death. The 3 of them turned into 3 sword lights and fled in 3 different directions. Kill! Lu Ming took a step forward and executed the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps, charging towards a 5th-level spiritual god realm expert. In an instant, he caught up to the person and slashed out with his sword. That person let out a desperate roar and fought back with all his might, but it was useless. The sword light descended and destroyed everything. Blood splattered and a head flew far away. At the same time, sword chi seeped out and killed the man's spiritual god. With this delay, the other 2 had already flown a long distance away. Don't even think about leaving, go. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the blood-red sword in his hand turned into a ray of blood-red light, rapidly charging toward a 5th-level spiritual god realm expert. As for Lu Ming himself, he executed the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps and chased after the remaining 6th-level spiritual god realm expert. Lu Ming's body was like a stream of light. In just a few breaths, he had caught up with the other party. Lu Ming, if you kill us, you're going to die too. The supreme martial artists of the Heaven Martial Sword faction are all here. You can't run. The man roared, his eyes filled with despair. He performed the blood meridian fusion and turned it into a combat sword. He wanted to fight to the death. Even if he died, he wanted to make Lu Ming pay a price. Unfortunately, his plan was destined to fail. Lu Ming activated the prison-suppressing heaven technique and struck out with his palm. Ever since the prison-guarding steel's bloodline had merged with the real one, the power of his prison-guarding heavenly skill had increased significantly. When he used the same amount of true energy and the same level of the prison-suppressing heavenly art, his power was much stronger than before. In addition to the 8 streams of dragon energy, Lu Ming's strength was truly terrifying. He was much stronger than when he fought against the various prodigies in the holy city. Now, if he were to face Dark Child again, Lu Ming was confident that he could defeat him in a few moves. Boom! The palm suppressed everything as if it had infinite power. It pressed through the sky and slashed at the combat sword that the person had transformed into. With a palm, the combat sword was shattered into pieces. It turned back into a human figure and coughed up blood. After the second palm strike, the man's body was torn into pieces. Whoosh! A blood-red sword gleam flew over and hovered above Lu Ming's head again, turning into a drop of blood. It was obvious that the 5th-level spiritual god realm martial artist had also been killed by the blood-red combat sword. The 5 experts of the Heavenly Sword faction had been completely annihilated. Demonic chi filled the air as Xiao Wan appeared. He looked at Lu Ming in surprise and asked, "Your battle prowess is not bad. I never thought that after 30,000 years, a chosen like you would be born. If we were in the same life, you would definitely be my opponent." Lu Ming's combat strength surprised even Xiao Wan. Even someone as proud as him had said that Lu Ming could be his opponent if they were in the same lifetime. One must know that Xiao Wan had never said such words to anyone. Chapter 1152. 1152 Killing 7th-level spiritual god realm. Senior is too kind. Lu Ming said, "Ha, no need to be humble. These people will be my tonics. They can help me recover some vitality." Xiao Wan laughed and transformed into a ball of demonic chi. He wrapped the blood and flesh of the heaven martial sword sex expert that Lu Ming had killed and absorbed them all. It was unknown what kind of cultivation technique Xiao Wan was cultivating, but it was extremely overbearing. It could directly absorb a warrior's essence, chi, and spirit and transform them into his own essence. It was comparable to the devouring power of the 9 dragons. Of course, Xiao Wan's cultivation level was unfathomable, and he was considered an expert even among emperors. It was normal for him to have all sorts of tricks up his sleeve. Then, Xiao Wan did the same thing and absorbed the remaining 4. The demonic chi on Xiao Wan's body wriggled, and his aura grew stronger. Those at the 5th and 6th level of the spiritual god realm are too weak. They can only recover a little, but it's better than nothing. Lu Ming, there are 7th-level spiritual god realm martial artists rushing over from the east. Hee, they're pretty good tonics. Xiao Wan sneered. Although Xiao Wan's chi and blood were weak, and his combat strength was far worse than when he was at his peak, his spiritual sense was still very terrifying. It was the spiritual sense of a martial emperor, which could sense the situation over a long distance. Therefore, he could sense the enemy in advance every time. 7th level of the spiritual god realm? Then kill. There was a sharp glint in Lu Ming's eyes. He guessed that the royal Xie family must have promised him a great reward. Otherwise, why would these non-members of the royal Xie family want to kill him so badly? However, if they wanted to kill him, they had to be prepared to be killed in return. Lu Ming took a step forward and headed east. At this moment, 2 burly men in their 50s or 60s were flying in Lu Ming's direction from the east. Both of them were dressed in white robes and carried combat swords on their backs. One look and one could tell that they were experts from the Heavenly Martial Sword School. One of them was holding an array board in his hand. On the array board, there was a light spot flashing not far from them. "We're almost there. Lu Ming is over there. He's not dead yet? Huh, it seems like we found him first." The 2 of them smiled at each other, their eyes burning with passion. "Why is he approaching us?" Suddenly, one of them spoke. They discovered that the dot of light on the formation plate was rapidly approaching them. This kid is really courting death. He must not know we are here, so he chose a random direction and came to our side. It seems that even the heavens are helping us." Another man laughed. They naturally didn't know of Xiao Wan's existence. The matter of Xie Wan was too important. The royal Xie family had not leaked it. In fact, only a few people in the royal Xie family knew about it. The royal Xie family had only mentioned Lu Ming to the public. The two of them spoke as they flew. Not long after, a black-robed young man stepped through the air. The three of them looked at each other. However, to the surprise of the two powerhouses from the Sky Martial Sword faction, Lu Ming's eyes did not seem to be surprised at all when he saw them. Instead, there was a hint of killing intent in his eyes. This gave the two of them a bad feeling. He shook his head and threw the bad premonition out of his mind. He was only a junior at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. No matter how strong and heaven-defying he was, how could he cross 4 levels and fight with them, who were at the 7th level of the spiritual god realm? They had lived for thousands of years, yet they had never heard of a Heaven's Pride expert who could cross 4 levels in the spiritual god realm and fight a 7th level spiritual god while being at the 3rd level. How could anyone who could reach the 7th level of the spiritual god realm be weak? They were all extremely powerful existences. When they were young, they were all geniuses of a region. They felt that they were overthinking things. Let's attack together and kill this brat. We'll split the rewards equally according to their value. One of them said. Although they felt that Lu Ming could not possibly be their match, they still decided to attack together and end the battle as soon as possible to avoid any complications. All right. The other man nodded. Buzz, buzz, whoosh. The battle sword buzzed, and the sword chi broke through the air, stirring up the wind and clouds. The two of them took a step forward at the same time and charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I'll leave one to you and the other to me. Xie Wan appeared and transformed into a stream of demonic chi, sweeping toward one of them. Kill! Without saying anything else, Lu Ming charged at one of them. His palm was like a heavenly blade as he used the prison suppressing heaven technique to suppress the enemy. Clang! The palm and his opponent's sword clashed heavily, creating a terrifying boom. At the point where the palm and the sword met, a ripple spread out at a terrifying speed. Hundreds of miles away, a mountain peak that reached into the clouds was swept by the ripples and was directly cut in half. Gravel broke through the air and smoke filled the air. Bang, bang, bang. After the exchange of blows, a figure retreated 3 steps. It was the expert from the Heavenly Martial Sword faction. He retreated, but Lu Ming's body only swayed a little. How is that possible? The expert from the Heavenly Martial Sword School widened his eyes in disbelief. Facing the attack head-on, he was actually forced back by Lu Ming's palm. How was this possible? He clearly discovered that Lu Ming's cultivation was indeed at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. A 3rd level spiritual god actually forced him, a 7th level spiritual god, to take 3 steps back. This was too terrifying. This kid is too monstrous. Kill him, we must kill him. The Sky Martial Sword School's expert roared in his heart as he circulated his Zhen Yuan to the extreme. At the same time, he performed bloodline fusion, turning it into a combat sword and exploding with his strongest combat power. This person had a divine level rank 5 bloodline. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded and the 9-dragon bloodline emerged. Lu Ming also burst out the 9-dragon bloodline and performed the bloodline fusion to transform into 9 dragons. The 9 dragons roared as they stepped into the air and pounced toward the other party. Bang! Bang! The dragon claws tore through the sky and collided with the combat sword continuously, but the combat sword was completely at a disadvantage and could not fight against the 9 dragons. When Lu Ming first entered the Abyss Demon territory, he had to borrow the 3rd bloodline's power in excess to kill the 7th level spiritual god realm expert from the Xie family. But now, Lu Ming did not need to borrow the 3rd bloodline's power excessively to suppress the other party. After more than 10 moves, the combat sword was completely suppressed. It was constantly bombarded by the 9 dragons and kept shaking. Every single move of the 9 dragons contained the prison suppressing heavenly art, and its power was simply too great. Every move was like a divine monument pressing down. Ah! Suddenly, a blood-curdling screech came from nearby. It was from another expert of the heavenly martial sword school. He had been killed by Xiel Wan and was now wrapped in a mass of demonic qi. This made the powerhouse who was fighting with Lu Ming tremble in his heart. Fear filled his heart. His heart was in a mess, and his strength became weaker. Lu Ming seized the opportunity to hit the sword with a few consecutive moves. With a bang, the sword exploded, revealing the man's true body. His face was pale and he spat out blood. He retreated quickly, trying to escape. The 9 dragons stomped on the air at a terrifying speed, chasing after the other party and launching a series of attacks. After a few moves, the man let out a blood-curdling screech as his chest was pierced by the 9 dragons' claws. He was killed on the spot. Chapter 1153. 1153 Sealing the Projection of the Heaven's Secrets Instrument. Now, Lu Ming could kill a 7th-level spiritual god realm expert by himself. Of course, the 7 levels of the spiritual god realm were also divided into strong and weak. This person was considered average among the 7 levels of the spiritual god realm. If he had awakened a 6th-level divine level or even a 7th-level divine level bloodline, or if his low-grade divine level martial technique was a bit stronger, he would not be so easy to kill. As soon as the man was killed by Lu Ming, the demonic qi that Xiel Wan had turned into flew over and wrapped him up. In just a few breaths, not even a residue was left of him. Lu Ming secretly felt that it was a pity. If he had devoured a few 7th-level spiritual god realm martial artists, his cultivation would also be able to improve quickly. However, the most important thing now was for Xiel Luan to recover his strength. If he fully recovered, no, he didn't need to fully recover. As long as he recovered to the realm of an ordinary emperor, their safety would be guaranteed. Lu Ming, another expert, is here. This time, it's a perfected spiritual god expert. We can't deal with him. Let's find a place to hide first. I'll come out after I've cultivated the 9 seals of the divine gate. Xiel Wan said after sensing for a moment. All right. Lu Ming nodded. He turned to the south and used the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps. He turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Not long after Lu Ming left, an extremely powerful presence appeared at the place where the battle had taken place. The person sensed it carefully and frowned as he muttered, "Junior brother Wan and the others' auras are here. However, judging from the remnant auras, they should have died." Lu Ming actually has such powerful means to kill a 7th-level spiritual god realm existence? The man mumbled to himself before looking to the south. A fiery light flashed in his eyes as he chased after them. Lu Ming flew more than 100,000 miles and saw a huge lake. He rushed down with a long spear in his hand. The long spear spun and pierced through the soil and rocks at the bottom of the lake, rushing underground. At the same time, under the influence of Lu Ming's will of the earth, Lu Ming's speed of penetrating the underground rocks was very fast. In just a short while he was 100 miles below the ground. At the same time, the rocks that he had passed through behind him regrouped as if no one had passed through them. This Heaven's Secrets instrument projection is really amazing. It can still be condensed even in the depths of the earth. Lu Ming frowned and looked at the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument above his head. He continued to rush underground. After a few breaths, he traveled another 100 miles. With a thought, Lu Ming appeared in the mountain and river diagram. As soon as he entered the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming looked up and finally heaved a long sigh of relief. The projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument above his head was finally cut off and did not appear again. The mountain and river diagram was indeed a legendary treasure. It seemed to be of a higher level than the Heaven's Secrets instrument of the royal Xie family, as it had successfully blocked the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument. Deep underground, only the mountain and river diagram was among the rocks. About 10 breaths after Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram, the being with the great circle of the spirit embryo realm also arrived above the lake. However, at this moment, the array disc in the person's hand dimmed and he had completely lost contact with Lu Ming. What's going on? Why did the formation plate lose its connection to the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection? That shouldn't be the case. The Heaven's Secrets device is the most mysterious treasure of the royal Xie family. Even if it's hidden deep underground, it should still be able to sense it. Could it be that the royal Xie family suddenly stopped operating the Heaven's Secrets device? This person frowned and various thoughts appeared in his mind as he began to search the surroundings. In the mountain and river diagram, Xian Yanqing sat cross-legged under the path understanding ancient tree, cultivating quietly. Lu Ming came to Xian Yanqing's side. The path understanding ancient tree. You even have the path understanding ancient tree? Xie Wan's figure appeared. He was shocked to see the three-leafed path understanding ancient tree. The mountain and river diagram and the ancient tree of comprehension were both legendary treasures. The fact that Lu Ming had both of them shocked the chaotic heavenly demon emperor. Although Xie Wan had been extremely powerful and famous, he had not possessed such a treasure. I obtained them in the Battle of Providence. Lu Ming randomly came up with a reason. What he said was half true and half false. The mountain and river diagram had indeed been obtained in the Battle of Providence, but the path understanding ancient tree had not. It had spurted out from the Heaven's Gate. You're really lucky, kid. Many people have participated in the Battle of Providence, including me, but I've never heard of anyone obtaining such a treasure. Xie Wan said, his eyes still filled with surprise. Lu Ming smiled and did not explain further. All right, I'll start to comprehend the 9 seals of the Divine Gate now. With the help of your path understanding ancient tree, I'll definitely be able to cultivate faster. After Xie Wan finished speaking, he also sat cross-legged under the path understanding tree. Lu Ming also sat cross-legged at the side, quietly comprehending the concept. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. At this moment, Xie Wan ended his cultivation. Lu Ming sensed it too. He ended his cultivation and said, "Senior, have you finished cultivating?" Xie Wan nodded and said, "I've succeeded in the initial stage, but it'll take some time for me to master it. The 9 seals of the Gate of God is indeed mysterious. Let's go out now. I'll help you try it out." Lu Ming nodded. With a thought, he exited the mountain and river diagram. As soon as he got out of the mountain and river diagram, the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument condensed again above his head. 9 seals of the Gate of God, seal. Xie Wan's hands kept forming seals. In the next moment, sealing gates appeared around Lu Ming. There were a total of 4 sealing gates, and they spread out in 4 directions. They appeared around the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection, and they gave off a resplendent light that enveloped the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection. Seal. Seal. Xie Wan shouted again, and the power of the seal burst forth. The 4 doors of light pressed down, and finally gathered together to form a single door of light. The projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument also disappeared. Hidden. Xie Wan shouted again, and the remaining door of light trembled and disappeared. Lu Ming was secretly amazed. Xie Wan was indeed Xie Wan. He was a top-notch expert among martial emperors. His comprehension was too strong. Back then, Lu Ming spent 3 days before he managed to cultivate it successfully and form a sealing door. Xie Wan, on the other hand, had only spent 3 days to condense 4 sealing gates, and he had used them more skillfully than Lu Ming. The higher one's realm was, the deeper one's understanding of martial Tao would be, and the faster one could cultivate secret skills and martial techniques. Lu Ming, with my current cultivation level, I can only help you seal the door for 3 hours. After 3 hours, the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection will break through the seal. At that time, we will need to reseal it. Xie Wan said. 3 hours is enough. Lu Ming smiled. His appearance began to change. Even his aura changed. He then rushed to the ground. Within a certain range of Lu Ming, many experts were looking for him. As there was news that Lu Ming had appeared here, it naturally attracted many experts. Not only were there experts from the Heavenly Martial Sword School, but there were also experts from the royal family, the Xie family, and even experts from other forces such as Cold Blood Hall and Sky Eagle Castle who had come from hundreds of millions of miles away. In the past 3 days, many experts had ransacked the place, but they did not find any traces of Lu Ming. Chapter 1154. 1154 Hunting. What's going on? The Heaven's Secrets instrument was still operating, but it could not sense Lu Ming's projection? What kind of treasure does this guy have that can isolate the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument? Generally, treasures with internal spaces can't isolate the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument. Could it be that Lu Ming has a treasure of a higher grade than the Heaven's Secrets instrument? Some people guessed, and the flames of greed in their eyes burned even more. If they killed Lu Ming, not only would they be rewarded with a priceless, tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure from the royal family, but they would also be able to obtain the treasures on Lu Ming. This made everyone's hearts burn with a fiery flame. There's a reaction. The array board is reacting. Suddenly, someone shouted. There's really a reaction. The projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument has reappeared. Lu Ming has appeared. He's still in this area. Tens of thousands of miles to the south. Let's go. One figure after another felt the reaction of the array board in their hands and rushed to the south. However, after a few breaths, these people stopped again. What's going on? The formation plate's reaction has disappeared again. What the hell? You should die. At this moment, these people's disc arrays had lost their connection to the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument. I don't care. He's in the south. Many experts flew in the direction that they had sensed earlier. Very soon, many people appeared near the lake where Lu Ming had transmitted into the underground and began to search. There are so many people here. The Royal Xie family, Heavenly Martial Sword School, Cold Blood Hall, Ji family. In the crowd, a dark-skinned burly man looked around with a cold light in his eyes. This person was Lu Ming. Previously, he had changed his appearance and rushed out of the ground. Not long after, he discovered a large number of experts approaching. He took the opportunity to mix in with these experts and inquire some information. Lu Ming had changed his aura using the illusionary breath technique. These people could not recognize him at all. Lu Ming had successfully obtained a lot of important information. The Royal Xie family is really willing to take out a tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure. However, it's understandable. The chaotic Sky Emperor has reappeared. The Royal Xie family is probably already panicking. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Senior, since there are so many tonics here, why don't we find an opportunity to get rid of some? Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Xiel Wan. Ha, that's just what I want. Let's leave this place first and look for those who are alone. Xiel Wan laughed heartily, his voice ringing in Lu Ming's ears. The experts here searched the surroundings. After not finding Lu Ming, they scattered. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the crowd and followed behind the few powerhouses from the Heavenly Sword sect. Of the 3 experts from the Heavenly Martial Sword faction, 2 were at the 7th level of the spiritual god realm, and 1 was at the 6th level. After flying for a distance, the 3 of them stopped and turned to look at Lu Ming. This brother, what are you trying to do by following the 3 of us? One of the 7th level spiritual god realm experts asked, his gaze somewhat cold. They had long sensed that Lu Ming was following them. However, the aura that Lu Ming revealed was only at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. They did not care at all. However, after being followed for such a long distance, they also revealed killing intent in their hearts. Haven't you been looking for me? Lu Ming smiled faintly and his voice became younger. The 3 of them were stunned for a moment, then their eyes lit up. You are Lu Ming. One of them coldly shouted. Buzz, buzz, buzz. 3 sword hums resounded and 3 sword lights shot into the sky. Kill. Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath on them. He charged forward. At the same time, Xiel Wan also appeared and pounced at his opponent. After Xiel Wan absorbed 2 experts in the 7th level of the spiritual god realm, his strength had recovered a little. It was even easier for him to deal with martial artists in the 7th level of the spiritual god realm. 4 sealing gates appeared, instantly freezing the 3 experts of the heavenly martial sword school. Lu Ming killed one of them with a single palm strike. The other 2 were killed by Xiao Wan before they were enveloped by the rolling demonic qi. 3 storage rings flew out toward Lu Ming, who grabbed them and kept them. After a few breaths, the 3 experts from the heavenly sword faction had disappeared. The demonic qi on Xiao Wan's body grew even more powerful and churned. The muscles all over Xiao Luan's body squirmed and were filled with demonic radiance. He was like a supreme demonic god, exuding a terrifying aura. It's so comfortable. My immortal demonic body has recovered a little, but it's still far from it. Let's continue. A demonic light flickered in Xiao Wan's eyes, as if an unparalleled demonic god was about to awaken. All right. Lu Ming nodded without any hesitation. Now, he was in the same boat as Xiao Wan. The stronger Xiao Wan was, the more advantageous it would be for him. Then, Lu Ming left the place and set his eyes on 2 Cold Blood Hall experts. The 2 7th-level spiritual god realm experts were easily killed by Lu Ming. The hunt continued. No one would notice Lu Ming's disguise. Lu Ming specifically chose those who were alone or in groups of 2 or 3 to attack, but they were all easily killed by Xiao Wan and became his nourishment. Many experts had come to this region. They came from various overlord forces and even some of the forces that were 1 level lower. Of course, not all the forces had come. For example, the heaven-suppressing divine army, the biggest enemy of the royal family and the Xie family, had no one come. Also, Xinkong Mountain and Tianxia Academy didn't send anyone. Apart from a few overlord forces that had not sent anyone, Lu Ming discovered people from 10 overlord forces. Lu Ming did not show any mercy. He led Xiao Wan and hunted them down one by one. Slowly, Xiao Wan's strength grew stronger and stronger. From being able to kill a 7th-level spiritual god in the beginning, he was able to easily kill an 8th-level spiritual god later on, and then to a 9th-level spiritual god. 3 hours later, the effect of the sealing door was over. Lu Ming found a secret place and asked Xiao Wan to help him seal it again. Ooh! Demonic qi churned. After Xiao Wan absorbed a 9th-level spiritual god realm expert, the demonic qi in his body reached a terrifying level, especially his demonic body. It was like a demonic weapon, revealing a terrifying aura. Immortal demon body. The sovereign realm was completely different from the spiritual god realm. An emperor's intent would transform into a domain, and their bloodline would condense into a spiritual body. Both of these were terrifyingly powerful. A spirit body had already transcended the mortal body and had the power to destroy the world. An emperor could easily kill anyone below the emperor level with just his spirit body, even without his territory. Xiao Wan's immortal demon body was a kind of spirit body, a kind of overbearing and extremely powerful spirit body. Because Xiao Wan had been suppressed by the fragment of the prison suppressing steel for 30,000 years, his spirit body had almost collapsed, and he was now slowly condensing it back. Lu Ming, how about we do something big? Xiao Wan's eyes were filled with demonic qi. A big one? How do we do it? Lu Ming was very tempted. Although Xiao Wan had killed many powerhouses and turned their flesh, vital essence, and blood essence into Xiao Wan's tonics, Lu Ming did not get a single piece of them. However, Xiao Wan did not take the storage rings and gave them all to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was rich now, so he was naturally tempted. Using a formation to kill a group of people. Xiao Wan slowly explained his plan. Chapter 1155. 1155 Chapter 1155 Guiding Xiao Wan. Not only was Xiao Wan's martial arts cultivation extremely strong, he was also unrivaled among the divine wilderness continent's emperors. His Tao of inscription was not weak either. It had reached the peak of the 8th rank, which was also the great circle of the spiritual god realm. He needed to find a place to set up a peerless formation and kill a group of experts. This was especially true for Great Circle Spirit God stage experts. Lu Ming was in full support of the idea. The two of them chose a hidden Great Canyon. This Great Canyon had a wide and magnificent view. When Lu Ming arrived, Xie Luan began to inscribe the array. In the beginning, an illusory formation was inscribed to conceal their figures and other formations. After the illusory formation, it was the killing formation. Xie Luan's hands kept moving, and one inscription after another sank into the ground around the valley. No, your formation is not powerful enough. It won't be that easy to kill a Great Circle spiritual God expert. On his shoulder, Dandan stood on her two legs and watched Xie Luan carve the formation, looking like she was in charge of everything. Xie Luan was a little curious. He looked at Dandan, pondered for a moment, and said, "This array of mine should be able to kill 3 Great Circle spiritual gods without any problems." Bullshit. Dandan put her hands on her hips and scolded him directly. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This guy was berating Xie Luan like this. He was probably looking for a beating. Xie Luan raised an eyebrow, and a powerful aura began to emanate from him. But a moment later, he retracted his aura. Dandan was also shocked at first. She grabbed Lu Ming with her claws and waited for Xie Luan's aura to subside before she secretly heaved a long sigh of relief. "Let me tell you, although your formation can kill up to 3 people in the Great Circle of the spiritual God realm, it will definitely take some time. If it doesn't succeed in a short time and attracts the attention of supreme-level experts, we can only run away." Dandan continued to put on a smug look. Xie Luan's brows twitched. Dandan was right. His formation could indeed kill 3 Great Circle Spirit God experts, but it would take some time. "Kid, you're still too young to play with formations in front of me. Let me teach you." She arrogantly rushed out and began to wave her hands above Xie Luan's formation. Runes began to appear, but they didn't merge with Xie Luan's runes, only marked them. "You can inscribe the inscriptions according to what I've inscribed. This way, the power of your array will double." Dandan continued to inscribe as she muttered. Xie Luan looked carefully and was surprised when he saw the back. He found that the inscriptions that Dandan pointed out and engraved were very wonderful. If they were supplemented into his array, it could indeed increase the power of his array by a large margin. It was more than enough to double the power. "Lu Ming, this little turtle of yours is extraordinary. It has an unusual background." Xie Luan looked at Lu Ming, the surprise in his eyes deepening. After a short period of interaction, he realized that he could not see through Lu Ming anymore. He had a big secret. Although his current cultivation was still weak, he had a bright future and it was difficult to predict. "What little turtle? Little brat, I'm one of the top 10 war beasts." Dandan's ears were very sharp, and she heard it from afar. She became even more proud and spoke to Xiao Yan in a tone as if she was lecturing a junior. "What? Top 10 battle beasts? You're one of the top 10 battle beasts?" Xie Luan's eyes suddenly widened, a look of shock on his face. "Senior, don't listen to his nonsense. This guy just likes to brag." Lu Ming said hurriedly. "There are even legends that some of the top 10 battle beasts don't come from our world, but from another world. It's said that the original body of your 9-dragon bloodline is one of the top 10 battle beasts, the 9 dragons. It can easily kill a saint." Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Also, some of them came from another realm. Lu Ming thought of heaven. As Dandan came from the heaven gate, Lu Ming speculated that the other side of the heaven gate was the heaven realm. "All right, I've added the necessary inscriptions. Kid, inscribe it according to the trajectory I've carved. The power of the formation will definitely increase by a large margin." Dandan flew back and landed on Lu Ming again. Xie Luan sized up Dandan seriously, but didn't say anything. He flew out and began to inscribe inscriptions according to the trajectory Dandan had carved. "Dandan, in the future, don't mention that you are one of the top 10 war beasts in front of others." Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Dandan to remind her. In the Divine Wilderness continent, it seemed that people did not know much about the top 10 war beasts. Even Xie Luan, the sovereign of the chaotic heavens, had only heard of them from overseas. This was still fine, as no one would pay much attention to him if he were to clamor all day long. If Lu Ming's cultivation level became stronger in the future and he broke through to the martial emperor realm, he would be targeted by others if he went overseas and made such a big fuss. According to Xiao Wan, the top 10 battle beasts were existences that could easily obliterate saints. That in itself was a supreme treasure, and if others knew about it, how could they not be tempted and covet it? All right, I'll stop talking. Dandan was very smart and had obviously thought of this as she muttered. Xiao Wan spent an entire day inscribing the formation. During this time, he would point out any shortcomings and Xiao Wan would do as he was told. A day later, the formation was completed. After that, it was time to attract people over. However, first, they had to check if there were any Supreme Being level figures. If they attracted a Supreme Being level figure, not to mention killing others, even they would be in danger. Lu Ming changed his appearance and strolled around the area, checking and asking around to see if there were any Supreme Being level figures. After confirming that there were no Supreme Beings around, Lu Ming returned to the place where he had set up the array and waited quietly. Soon, the energy of the sealing gate was exhausted, and the Heaven's Secrets Instruments projection reappeared. At that moment, everyone with a formation disk in a radius of 1,000,000 miles reacted at the same time. Light spots reappeared on the formation plate. It's Lu Ming. Lu Ming has appeared. Damn it, he has been appearing and disappearing from time to time during this period of time. Now he's using this move again. He's playing with us. If I catch him, I'll skin him alive. Those powerhouses couldn't hold back their anger and started to curse. However, he still obediently charged in the direction indicated by the formation plate. Hey, this time, Lu Ming did not disappear. The array disk has been showing him. If that's the case, it would have disappeared a while ago, but it hasn't disappeared yet. I guess Lu Ming has used some method to hide the aura of the Heaven's Secrets Instruments projection. Now he can't hide it anymore. Many people's eyes lit up as they rushed in the direction shown on the array disk. Chapter 1156. 1156 4th Level Spiritual God Realm. Lu Ming sat cross-legged in the sky above the Grand Canyon. Above his head, the Heaven's Secrets Instruments projection was rotating slowly, emitting a wonderful fluctuation. Xiao Wan was floating beside Lu Ming. It's almost time. Seal. Xiao Wan suddenly shouted. He kept forming seals with both hands and 4 sealing doors appeared, sealing the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument. Then he charged into the Grand Canyon and dug a big hole with his spear. Lu Ming rushed dozens of miles underground and spread his spiritual senses. Buzz, buzz, buzz. One figure after another appeared, floating around the Great Canyon, exuding a powerful aura. The weakest of them was at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm, while the strongest had an earth-shattering aura. They were extremely terrifying and were shockingly experts at the great circle of the spiritual god realm. They were all dressed differently. Some wore white swordsman robes, most of whom were experts from the heavenly martial sword school, while others wore blood-red robes, experts from Cold Blood Hall. Lu Ming used his spiritual senses to scan and found that the Heavenly Sword faction, Cold Blood Hall, and the Royal Xie family had the most experts. What's going on? Why did the Heaven's Secrets apparatus's projection disappear again? Is this Heaven's Secrets apparatus's projection of any use? Damn it, the disk array clearly showed that it was nearby. Why did it suddenly disappear? Lu Ming must be nearby and hiding somewhere. Let's surround this area and see how long he can hide. One by one, the experts shouted out. Their figures flashed and they surrounded the area. With so many experts here, how much wealth would there be in their interspatial rings? Lu Ming's eyes shone with a fiery glow. Xiao Wan also spread out his spiritual sense to sense the surroundings. 4 great circle spiritual gods, 9 9th-level spiritual gods, and no supremes. That's enough, that's enough. With these tonics, I'm confident that I can fight against supremes. Xie Luan murmured, his eyes cold. Lu Ming, I'm going to release a trace of the seal now. Xie Luan said. Lu Ming nodded. Then, Xie Luan performed a hand seal and unlocked the door of seal a little. Buzz! Immediately, some fluctuations of the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection were emitted. At this moment, the array discs in the hands of the experts near the Great Canyon moved. They reacted and all pointed in one direction, the Great Canyon. He's appeared. Lu Ming has appeared. He's in that huge canyon. He should be hiding in the underground of the Great Canyon, using a secret technique to conceal the fluctuations of the Heaven's Secrets instrument's projection. Now, he finally can't hide anymore and is about to be revealed. Kill him. Lu Ming is mine. It's mine. Charge. The experts roared and burst out with powerful auras. Their eyes were red as they charged towards the canyon. If he killed Lu Ming, he would be able to obtain a tribulation-transcending heavenly treasure. The temptation was too great. At least dozens of experts at the 6th-level spiritual god realm and above rushed into the large canyon. At the same time, attacks burst out and blasted toward the ground, trying to force Lu Ming out of the ground. All of you die. Underground, Xie Luan's eyes were cold. With a wave of his hands, countless inscriptions glowed in the valley, and a peerless killing formation appeared, filled with murderous intent. Streaks of terrifying sword chi appeared and destroyed the attacks of these experts. The terrifying aura of the formation made everyone's heart turn cold and their souls tremble. Not good, it's a peerless killing formation. We've been tricked. Retreat, retreat, retreat. These experts went crazy as they frantically tried to escape. However, it was too late. Whoosh! Whoosh! The terrifying sword chi was killing at a speed that was faster than the naked eye could see. Screams rang out. Those experts below the 9th level of the spiritual god realm were killed in an instant, and their blood and chi soared into the sky. Even the 9 experts in the 9th level of the spiritual god realm could not resist for a few breaths before they were killed one by one. In the end, there were only 4 Great Circle spiritual god stage experts left. Let's work together. Let's work together and charge out. We've been tricked. Lu Ming has the help of an expert. We've been deceived. We've been deceived by the imperial family. With furious roars, the 4 Great Circle spiritual god stage experts wanted to join forces and charge out. However, this great formation had been greatly improved and its power was too great. The 4 Great Circle spiritual god stage experts tried their best to break through, but to their despair, they found that they were unable to break out. The 4 of them didn't last long before their defenses were broken by the sharp sword chi. 10,000 swords pierced through their hearts and they died on the spot. Dozens of experts at the 6th level spiritual god realm and above were completely annihilated. It was especially so for those powers that had fallen in the Great Circle of the spiritual god stage. It would definitely be a huge loss. The Great Circle of the spiritual god realm was second only to the Supremes. There would not be many Great Circle spiritual gods in any faction. The death of one would be a great loss. Bang! Lu Ming dashed toward the ground and reached the ground in an instant. As soon as he reached the ground, Xie Luan transformed into a ball of demonic chi and enveloped the expert's corpse. "Senior, please leave a few for me," Lu Ming shouted. He was envious to see so many spiritual god powerhouses, especially the few who had cultivated the Earth concept. Lu Ming dashed toward the few experts who had cultivated the Earth concept. Xie Luan had intentionally allowed Lu Ming to benefit from this. He did not touch the few people that Lu Ming had his eyes on, while the rest were shrouded in demonic chi and became Xie Luan's nourishment. Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragon bloodline and rushed to the front of an 8th level spiritual god realm expert. He opened his mouth and inhaled, and devouring power burst forth, devouring the expert's vital essence, blood essence, and runes. Immediately after, Lu Ming rushed to another one and continued to devour. Lu Ming had devoured 3 experts in the 8th level of the spiritual god realm, all of whom were experts who cultivated the Earth concept. After devouring the three masters, the 9 dragon bloodlines swelled up and were filled with boundless and terrifying energy. Xiaowan did not collect the experts' storage rings. They all flew toward Lu Ming and were put away. Lu Ming's heart was burning. There were so many powerful people. How much wealth would they have? Lu Ming, let's go. We have to leave this place first. Demonic chi surged around Xiaowan as he wrapped Lu Ming in it and flew into the distance. The commotion here would soon be known by others, and they would definitely attract powerful experts. Xiaowan carried Lu Ming and traveled 1,000 miles in an instant. Before long, they had traveled millions of miles. Lu Ming rushed into the belly of a huge mountain and entered the mountain and river diagram. He sat cross-legged and began to refine the energy that he had just devoured. The energy of 3 8th-level spiritual gods was too vast and boundless. It was constantly transformed into true essence, and Lu Ming's cultivation began to improve rapidly. Middle stage 3rd-level spiritual god realm, late stage 3rd-level spiritual god realm. The intent runes were also being refined continuously. Before long, Lu Ming's earth intent had successfully broken through the bottleneck and entered the lower tier of level 4. It was still slowly improving. Moreover, some of them had comprehended the concept of fire. This allowed Lu Ming's concept of fire to improve. As for the blood essence of the 3 experts, Lu Ming used all of them to upgrade the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Not long after, the 8th golden chakra emerged on the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline. It was a little dim at first, but it gradually became bright. After a few hours, Lu Ming finally finished refining the energy and blood essence of the 3 8th-level spiritual god realm experts. Lu Ming's body rippled with a powerful aura. It was several times stronger than before. 4th level of the spiritual god realm. Chapter 1157. 1157 Chapter 1157 Killing the Heavenly Sword Faction. With the breakthrough of the Earth concept, Lu Ming's 5 types of concepts had already reached the lower tier of the 4th level. Therefore, with the huge amount of energy that he had devoured, he broke through in one go and entered the 4th level spiritual god realm. Lu Ming's abilities had increased by a huge margin. Lu Ming put away the 9 dragons bloodline and opened his eyes. He saw Xiaowan standing not far away, looking at him in surprise. The bloodline of the 9 dragons is indeed magical and heaven-defying. Xiaowan sighed. The reason why he could constantly improve his strength with the help of strong cultivators, tonics, was that he had already reached his original strength and realm. However, he was still weak after being suppressed for many years and needed the blood essence of strong cultivators to recover. He had only recovered, but Lu Ming had improved and broken through. There was no comparison at all. Senior, how much strength have you recovered? Lu Ming changed the topic and asked. With my current strength, I should have no problem fighting a supreme martial artist. Xiaowan said. He can fight an autarch. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. The stronger Xiaowan was, the better it would be for him. Senior, do you still want to do something big? Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he was a little tempted. Didn't the experts from the Overlord forces want to kill him? In that case, he would retaliate. Most importantly, Xiaowan did not seem to be interested in these people's storage rings, but Lu Ming needed them. Although Lu Ming had yet to take stock of the items in the storage rings, they were all experts at the 6th level spiritual god realm and above. The value of the items in them was definitely shocking. Lu Ming's heart was burning with excitement. Your thoughts are the same as mine. I also want to do something big. Xiaowan laughed arrogantly. Senior, I'm afraid it'll be very difficult to kill the enemy with a formation like the previous one. The others will definitely be on guard after seeing the traces left behind by the previous battle. It'll be very difficult to do it again. Lu Ming frowned, thinking about how to make a big move. It's fine. Let's change our method. Isn't there a branch of the Heavenly Martial Sword faction nearby? I can sense that there's something I need in this division. Xiaowan said, a hint of hope in his eyes. Attack the Heavenly Sword Factions Division? Senior, I'm afraid that there are supreme martial artists in this division. Lu Ming's expression was grave. Although Xiao Wan had the ability to fight against a supreme being, the supreme being of the Heavenly Sword sect was in charge of the distribution and controlled the geographical advantage. It was not easy to kill him. If he was not careful, he might end up getting himself killed. If I were a bit stronger, I would be confident. There's something very important to me in that division. If I can get it, I'll be able to recover my strength quickly. Then I won't have to hide anymore. Xiao Wan said, frowning. Lu Ming pondered for a moment. Suddenly, his palm glowed and a small pagoda appeared in his palm. An emperor's spiritual weapon. Xiao Wan's eyes glowed when he saw the pagoda. Senior, if I were to lend you this emperor's spiritual weapon for the time being, would you be confident? Lu Ming said, Yes, I do. Although this emperor's spiritual weapon doesn't match my attributes and I can't fully unleash its power, it's still an emperor's spiritual weapon. It's enough to increase my strength by a large margin and attack that division. Xiao Wan said, All right, I'll lend it to Senior. Lu Ming waved his hand and the small tower flew toward Xiao Wan. If he didn't make a prompt decision, it would lead to chaos. Now that Xie Luan had temporarily attached himself to him, he would definitely not be able to hide many of his secrets from Xie Luan. It would be better to take them out openly and use Xie Luan's strength to gain some benefits for himself. Ah, good, then let's turn the world upside down. Xie Luan laughed heartily. After refining the small pagoda for a while, he and Lu Ming left the mountain and river diagram and flew north. Hundreds of thousands of miles to the north, in a wild mountain, there was a branch of the Heavenly Martial Sword sect. This was what Xiao Wan had sensed when Lu Ming and the rest had passed by. Soon, a sword peak that reached the sky appeared in front of him. The mountain peak was like a sword that seemed to be able to reach the sky. From a distance, one could feel the powerful sword power spreading out. There seemed to be a demonic light flickering in Xiao Wan's eyes, as if he could see through everything. The Tianwu sword faction's distribution is not simple. They seem to be secretly studying something related to demons. Xiao Wan muttered. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The Tianwu sword sect was actually researching something related to demons. That was why Xiao Wan had chosen this place. Buzz! With Lu Ming in tow, Xiao Wan took a step forward and appeared in the sky above the Heavenly Sword edge. Who is it? This is the Heavenly Sword faction's assignment. Unrelated people, get lost. As soon as they appeared, the experts on the heaven-connecting sword peak sensed them and let out a loud shout with a cold, killing intent. The person who will kill you. You're courting death, Xiao Wan said coldly. A small red pagoda appeared in his hand and rapidly enlarged until it finally turned into a giant pagoda that reached the sky. It was comparable to the sword blade that reached the sky. A scorching aura emanated from it, and a light shield-like object emerged from it. It was scarlet in color and exuded an astonishing temperature. Is this a domain? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with amazement. An emperor's intent would evil a veer into a domain, and an emperor's spiritual weapon would also contain a domain, which was extremely terrifying. Fire domain. Not good. It's an emperor. An emperor is attacking. Activate the formation, activate the formation. As soon as the king's spiritual weapon was taken out, the heaven-connecting sword was in chaos and screams of fear could be heard. Suppress. With a wave of his hand, Xiao Wan's abundant genuine vitality poured into the fiery pagoda, which pressed down on the heavenly sword. At this moment, countless inscriptions appeared around the heaven-reaching sword blade, forming a large formation. A beam of sword chi shot up and blasted toward the small red tower. Boom! With an earth-shattering explosion, the sword chi was destroyed. The giant tower suppressed everything and smashed hard on the mountain-protecting formation of the Heavenly Sword Peak. The great mountain-protecting formation shook violently and almost collapsed. Suppress! Xiao Wan bellowed as he continued to control the pagoda. This time, with a deafening boom, the protective formation of the heavenly sword peak was broken. The formation was broken and the giant tower hit the peak. The entire sword peak shook violently and then exploded. At this moment, the sword peak was filled with screams. Countless disciples of the Sky Martial Sword faction screamed as they were turned into ashes by the terrifying energy. Even some powerful high-level spiritual gods spat out mouthfuls of blood and were severely injured. Who are you? The Heavenly Martial Sword faction will definitely kill you. An angry roar was heard, and a bright sword light shot up from the bottom of the sword peak, as if it was going to split the world in half. The Supreme, this was a Supreme. The person who will kill you. Demonic chi rolled around Ciel Wan like a peerless demonic god. He controlled the Emperor's spiritual weapon to suppress his opponent. At the same time, Ciel Wan strode forward. His muscles bulged, and a demonic light that seemed to contain infinite power emerged. Boom! He threw a punch, and the space was smashed into pieces. Chapter 1158. 1158 Chapter 1158 Sword Emperor. The supreme martial artist of the Tianwu Sword School let out a long roar. His sword power was vast and mighty, shattering the sky. He slashed out a shocking sword light, which hit the giant pagoda and stopped it. However, on the other side, Ciel Wan's demonic fist arrived again. Endless sword chi floated around the supreme martial artist of the Tianwu Sword School. It finally gathered into a sword, and like 1,000 swords returning to their roots, it stabbed towards Ciel Wan. Boom! Ciel Wan's demonic fist struck the sword chi, causing it to shake violently before finally collapsing. Although the supreme martial artist of the Tianwu Sword School was strong, he had to resist the Emperor's spiritual weapon and Ciel Wan at the same time. He was already at a disadvantage. Spirit body, you're a spirit body. You're an emperor? Seeing Ciel Wan destroy his sword chi with a single punch, the other party immediately cried out in alarm. Kill! Ciel Wan bellowed as he strode forward, his demonic fist crushing down on his opponent. Above him, the giant pagoda trembled and continued to suppress the other party. The supreme martial artist from the Heavenly Martial Sword School was shocked. He immediately used the bloodline fusion and transformed into a combat sword. His bloodline was at the 6th level of the divine level, which was equivalent to the clan heads of the 6 great ancient clans of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The bloodline fusion had improved his combat strength, but Ciel Wan was unrivaled. His immortal demonic body was terrifying. If he was at his peak, he could crush an emperor. Boom! Boom! Ciel Wan's demonic fist continued to strike out. At the same time, the giant pagoda also came down. The flame domain in the giant pagoda enveloped the supreme being of the Tianwu Sword School, causing him to be suppressed by the terrifyingly high temperature. Although the supreme martial artist from the Heavenly Martial Sword School tried his best to slash out a shocking sword chi, it was still useless. He was suppressed and had less and less power to fight back. Go, all of you, quickly go and inform the sect leader. The supreme martial artist from the Heavenly Martial Sword faction roared. Some of the higher stage spiritual god realm warriors who were still alive looked at the battle in the sky in horror. The supreme martial artist of the Heavenly Martial Sword School was actually at a complete disadvantage and could be defeated at any time. Let's go! Some people flew away, trying to escape and inform the Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword School. Don't even think about leaving. Ciel Wan's demonic chi soared to the sky as he punched out a fist radiance that pierced through the void for thousands of miles. A few spirit god experts were instantly enveloped by the fist radiance and killed mercilessly. Clang! Clang! Ciel Wan's demonic fist continued to bombard the sword, causing the sword to tremble. Originally, Ciel Wan's current battle strength wasn't any weaker than his opponent's, and with the help of the Emperor's spirit weapon, Ciel Wan's strength was far above his opponent. After more than 10 punches, the sword collapsed, revealing the true body of the man who was retreating in horror. Boom! The giant pagoda pressed down, and the other party tried his best to block it. However, he was still knocked by the giant pagoda and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Xie Luan rushed over and punched his opponent's chest. His opponent screamed as his chest was pierced through. A large hole appeared, and his heart was shattered. His opponent's dantian glowed, and his spiritual god rushed out in an attempt to escape. However, Xie Luan grabbed his spiritual god and crushed it with a sudden squeeze. His spiritual god was crushed into a stream of energy that Xie Luan absorbed. A supreme martial artist had been killed by Xie Huan just like that. Boom! The giant tower glowed and enveloped the entire branch of the Heavenly Martial Sword faction. The remaining members of the Heavenly Martial Sword faction were all killed. Not a single one was left. Xie Luan transformed into demonic qi and enveloped all the experts of the Heavenly Sword sect, becoming his tonic. Save some for me. Lu Ming flew at top speed, collecting the storage rings one by one. Unfortunately, those experts had all become Xie Luan's tonics, not leaving a single one for him. What a pity! Lu Ming cried out. However, he had just devoured 3 8th-level spiritual god realm experts, and there were impurities in them. He needed some time to polish them and stabilize his foundation. If he continued devouring, his foundation might become even more unstable. At the thought of this, Lu Ming felt relieved and continued to collect the storage rings. Not long after, Lu Ming had put away all the storage rings. However, Xie Luan did not give Lu Ming the Supreme Martial Artist's storage ring. He kept it for himself. The Supreme Martial Artist's wealth must have tempted Xie Luan. Boom! After absorbing all the tonics, Xie Luan transformed into a human and punched the ground. A shocking demonic qi shot up into the sky from the ground, and a terrible pressure spread out. Why do I feel like I'm facing the Demon Empress? Lu Ming was shocked. Could it be that a demon emperor was hiding underground? How was this possible? As expected, the Heavenly Martial Sword School is very ambitious. They're actually secretly making a demon fetus. Xie Luan muttered to himself, an ecstatic smile on his face. Senior, what is a demon fetus? Lu Ming came to Xie Luan's side and looked down. Demonic qi filled the air underground. A tall human-shaped figure could be vaguely seen in the demonic qi. The rolling demonic qi was coming from this figure. The Tianwu Sword sect must have obtained the corpse of a fallen demon emperor and then refined it with a special method. In the end, it can be refined into a powerful existence under the Tianwu Sword sect's command. This existence is the demon fetus. Once it's refined, it will have the combat power of an emperor. It seems that the Tianwu Sword sect is far from finished refining it, and now it's all mine. After refining this demon fetus, my strength can be restored to the emperor realm. Xie Luan laughed and transformed into a ball of demonic qi. It flew down and wrapped around the tall figure and began to refine it. Lu Ming could only wait at the side. Soon, half an hour had passed. Sila! In the sky, the space was suddenly torn open, and a middle-aged man in a white robe with a sword on his back stepped out of the spatial crack. The middle-aged man looked around as soon as he stepped out of the spatial crack. Suddenly, a sword power that seemed to be able to destroy the world burst out and covered the territory within a radius of 10,000 miles. The Emperor, it's the Emperor! Lu Ming's pupils contracted sharply. He was extremely shocked. He knew that the Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword School had arrived. This was a sword emperor that could slash the world with his sword. The Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword faction looked at Lu Ming, but his gaze only swept past him and landed on the ball of demonic qi on the ground. I don't care who you are. Since you dared to destroy one of my Heavenly Sword faction's divisions, you won't be able to leave today. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, the Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword School waved his hand, and a dazzling sword qi shot towards Xie Luan. The power of the sword qi was several times stronger than that of the Supreme Being. A junior dares to be impudent in front of me. Within the demonic qi, a loud laugh came out. A jet-black fist radiance flew out and collided with the sword qi. The fist radiance and the sword qi collided, stirring up an endless energy storm. All the mountains and mountains within a radius of 10,000 miles were swept by the energy storm, directly cracking and exploding into pieces. With one move, he destroyed the mountains and rivers within a radius of 10,000 miles. A battle between emperors was too terrifying. It could destroy the heavens and earth. Although Lu Ming was under the protection of Xiao Wan's demonic aura, he was still shocked by the power. The power of an emperor is indeed shocking. It's far from what I can match now. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Whoosh! Endless demonic qi rolled, and Xiao Wan's figure flickered in and out of sight. A supreme aura emanated from his body. Chapter 1159. 1159 Chapter 1159 Scheme. It was obvious that Xiao Wan had recovered a great deal, and his strength was unfathomable. Buzz! With a sword cry, the Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword School unsheathed his sword, which resonated with the mountains and rivers. The sound of the sword made Lu Ming's body shake. He felt his eardrums rumble and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Big words kill. The Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword School was very powerful. As he took a step forward, it was as if his entire body had turned into a combat sword. Endless sword qi swam around his body. I killed more than one ordinary sword body back then. As Xiao Wan's voice rang out, the giant pagoda trembled and flew out, suppressing the other party. Whoosh! His opponent swung his sword, and the whole world was split open. A terrifying sword light slashed on the giant tower. The power exploded, breaking the flame domain of the giant tower and blocking it. At the same time, several terrifying sword qi shot toward Xiao Wan. Domain of sword. Xiao Wan snorted coldly. He withdrew his boundless demonic qi and revealed his true form. His body glowed with demonic light, as if it contained boundless power. Boom! Boom! He threw out a few consecutive punches, which collided with the sword qi of the other party. A violent boom rang out, and the ground was directly cut 100 miles deep by the sweeping energy. Bang! The sword qi was destroyed, but Xiao Wan's body also took a step back. He stomped on the space, and it exploded, revealing a pitch-black space. Xiao Wan seemed to be at a slight disadvantage. But at this moment, the other party did not continue to attack. Instead, he widened his eyes and stared at Xiao Wan. Xiao Wan? The Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword School said with great difficulty. He was filled with disbelief. In the past, Xiao Wan had rebelled against the imperial family and launched a shocking war with the imperial family, the Xie clan. Many forces had participated in that war and witnessed Xiao Wan's supreme demonic power. There were portraits of Xie Luan in many of the overlord forces, and many of those portraits had been drawn by emperors. One could even sense Xie Luan's demonic might and aura from the portraits. There was such a portrait in the Heavenly Martial Sword sect. The Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword sect had personally experienced it before, and it was exactly the same as Xiao Wan. Therefore, he was immediately stunned, shocked, and in disbelief. How could the Supreme Demon Emperor from 30,000 years ago appear now? Let's go! Seizing the opportunity, Xiao Wan did not linger in the battle. Instead, he tore open the space and stepped into the spatial rift with Lu Ming, disappearing from the place. Only the Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword School was left at the scene. Xiao Wan, it's definitely Xiao Wan. With Xiao Wan's appearance, the world is going to be in chaos again. The Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword School muttered to himself. After a while, his eyes glowed as he muttered to himself, "That's good. This is an opportunity, perhaps an opportunity for our Heavenly Martial Sword sect. It's just a pity for that demon fetus." The Martial Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Sword sect sighed. Then he suddenly looked in one direction, and two bright sword lights shot out of his eyes. He scolded, "Who is it?" Wujue Sword Emperor, how are you?" A loud laugh was heard. A bolt of lightning flashed in the sky, and a middle-aged man wearing a blue thunder battle robe appeared in the air. Thunderblade Emperor, why are you here? Sword Emperor Wujue frowned. The Thunder Saber Emperor was the sect master of the Sky Thunder Saber sect, an overlord force and an emperor. The royal family Xie family has spread the news to the world and activated the Heaven's Secrets instrument in order to capture Lu Ming. However, I have a feeling that it's not that simple. I just happened to come out of seclusion, so I came out for a walk. I sensed a strong fluctuation here, so I rushed over to take a look. The Thunder Saber Emperor explained. He looked around and said, Wujue, this should be one of your Heavenly Sword faction's branches, right? It seems that the branch has been destroyed. You were the one fighting with the other party just now, right? Where was he? Even you can't make him stay? They've already left. The Wujue Sword Emperor said. Who is it? The remaining demonic chi here is extremely shocking. Could it be the Demon Emperor of the Demon Mountain? The Thunderblade Emperor's eyes flashed as he asked tentatively. Martial Emperor Wujue pondered for a while and said, It's not the Demon Emperor from Demon Mountain. You won't be able to guess who this person is even in your dreams. Who is it? The Thunder Saber Emperor asked curiously when he saw Martial Emperor Wujue's serious face. Ciel Wan, Sovereign of Chaotic Heavens, Ciel Wan. Wu Ju and Wu Huang said each word clearly. What? Even with the Thunder Saber Emperor's mental fortitude, he was still stunned at this moment. He was dumbfounded and in disbelief. Wu Jue, are you seeing things or are you just joking with me? Ciel Wan, the Ciel Wan of 30,000 years, how could he still be alive? The Thunderblade Emperor said in disbelief. Do I look like I'm joking? The Wujue Sword Emperor said coldly. The Thunder Saber Emperor fell silent. His eyes flickered as if he was thinking about something. After a while, he said, If it's really Ciel Wan, I'm afraid the Imperial family will be in chaos. I know why the Imperial family activated the Heaven's Secrets instrument. Their target is not Lu Ming, but Ciel Wan. That's most likely the case. Moreover, Ciel Wan hasn't recovered to his peak state yet. He's not even my match. Wu Ju and Wu Huang said. If that's the case, do you have any way to track Ciel Wan's chi? We'll follow him and see what he's going to do next. The Thunder Martial Emperor said. Ciel Wan used a disciple of the Heavenly Martial Sword sect as a tonic to recover his demonic body. His presence hasn't been completely eliminated yet, so I can use a secret technique to pursue him. That's good. I'll go and see what Ciel Wan is up to. Sword Emperor Wujue said. He began to use a secret technique to capture Ciel Wan's aura. Ciel Wan brought Lu Ming across the space several times before stopping. I still haven't recovered to the Emperor realm. I'm still a little weaker than that kid. Ciel Wan said. That kid? He was referring to Sword Emperor Wujue. Senior is still not a match for the Emperor. Lu Ming asked. I can barely fight. Ordinary emperors can't do anything to me. With your Emperor's spiritual weapon, I can fight ordinary emperors. However, if we fight for a long time, it'll be disadvantageous to me. Now that my identity has been exposed, I'm afraid that all the emperors in the world will find ways to find us. It'll be very disadvantageous for us next. Ciel Wan said. Although he said this, a cold smile still hung on his face. Senior, do you have any good moves? Seeing Ciel Wan's expression, Lu Ming knew that Ciel Wan had an idea. Didn't the royal family use all their strength to hunt us down? Then I'll make sure the royal family doesn't have the mind to hunt us down. In fact, I'll make the divine wilderness continent fall into chaos and attack each other. This way, I'll have time to recover. Ciel Wan said. Cause the divine wilderness continent to descend into chaos? Attacking each other? Lu Ming was secretly shocked, but he was also full of doubts. What method did Ciel Wan have to cause the world to be in chaos and attack each other? I have a Heavenly King's token with me. It once belonged to the royal family. As long as I take out this Heavenly King's token, it's enough to make those royal warriors go crazy. Lu Ming, let's go to the holy city. The show is about to start. Xie Luan laughed and tore open space with Lu Ming, heading for the holy city. Chapter 1160. 1160 Lu Ming comes to the holy city. In a hidden hall in the sacred city, a round ball was floating in the air, emitting a bright light. Inscriptions appeared and glowed on the ball. If Lu Ming was here, he would be able to recognize that the ball was exactly the same as the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument floating above his head. This was the Heaven's Secrets instrument's main body. In the sky above the Heaven's Secrets device, there was a huge array board that was emitting a mysterious light. Around the Heaven's Secrets instrument, there were a dozen people standing quietly and observing. Suddenly, the Heaven's Secrets instrument began to shine, and a dot of light appeared on the disk array above it. More than a dozen people at the scene were alarmed. The Heaven's Secrets instrument has sensed something. The array disk has a light spot. Lu Ming has appeared. He's within 1,000,000 miles. An old man called out in disbelief. Shouldn't Lu Ming be hiding somewhere far away? How could he still dare to appear within 1,000,000 miles of the sacred city? Look, he's quickly approaching the holy city. He's approaching the holy city. The others all exclaimed in disbelief. The disk array showed that the dot of light was rapidly approaching the holy city. This meant that Lu Ming was heading toward the holy city. Quick, spread the news. The old man in the lead said. Then, they all took out their jade voice transmission talismans and sent the news out. In fact, there was no need for them to spread the news. In the holy city, some people had sensed the Heaven's Secrets energy field array disk and discovered this at the same time. Lu Ming was actually approaching the holy city at a high speed. Many experts in the sacred city were alarmed. More powerful cultivators from the royal family and the Xie family were alarmed. They flew out from all directions toward the eastern city wall of the holy city. According to the array disk, Lu Ming was coming from the east and would be close to the eastern city wall. For a moment, wind and clouds gathered on the eastern wall of the sacred city. Many experts arrived, and the city wall was filled with people. They're coming, they're almost there. Some people looked at the disk array and realized that the dot of light was getting closer and closer to the sacred city. Not long after, a black-robed young man with long hair casually draped over his shoulders flew over from the distant sky. Lu Ming, it was Lu Ming. At this moment, the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument was suspended above Lu Ming's head, shining brightly. Earlier, Xie Luan had brought Lu Ming along and tore through space in the direction of the holy city. When they were within 1,000,000 miles of the holy city, Xie Luan undid the seal on the door of seals and released the projection of the Heaven's Secrets instrument. Then, it entered Lu Ming's spine and disappeared. As for Lu Ming, he was stepping in the air and heading towards the holy city. At that moment, everyone's eyes were on Lu Ming. I didn't expect Lu Ming to come to the holy city. Isn't this like sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth? Could it be that he knows that he can't escape, so he came to turn himself in? It's possible. It's strange. I remember that during the 1,000,000-year sacrifice, Lu Ming took the initiative to enter the Abyss Demon Realm and wanted to take the 16th princess away. Moreover, the royal family even tried to kill us, and they even offered us a heavenly treasure like the Heavenly Secrets instrument. Everyone is curious about this, let alone you. However, many of the royal family's higher-ups do not know the exact reason, let alone us. However, there is one thing that we can be sure of. Lu Ming must have done something extraordinary to cause the royal family and the Xie family to be in such a state. Some of the powerhouses from the other forces were secretly discussing, but no one made a move. Lu Ming stood in the air 100 miles away from the city wall. Lu Ming, how dare you break out of the Abyss Demon territory without permission? You've committed a terrible crime and should be executed by 1,000 cuts. A gloomy voice sounded. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice. It was Xie Zhen. Lu Ming cast a casual glance at Xie Zhen and sneered. It's ridiculous. I entered the Abyss Demon territory of my own will, and I can leave and stay as I please. Besides, Xie Qitian is obviously trying to keep me in the abyss demon territory for the rest of my life by getting those points. He even made it sound so grand. What a despicable man. How dare you? How dare you slander my father? I'm going to kill your entire family. No one can save you today. Xie Zhen berated loudly with an air of superiority. Oh, all right, in terms of age you're older than me. Make your move, come and kill me. Lu Ming said. Phew. Xie Zhen was stunned. A loser, a piece of trash, do you dare to make a move? I can suppress you with one finger. Lu Ming said loudly, his voice full of disdain. Xie Zhen's face was completely red. In terms of age, he was of the same generation as Lu Ming and he was even older than Lu Ming. However, he did not dare to fight Lu Ming. Lu Ming could probably suppress him with one finger. Lu Ming. At this time, a cold voice sounded. The voice was clear and pleasant to the ears, but it was filled with a faint sense of pride. A peerless beauty in a snow-white dress with a milky white radiance emanating from her body stepped through the air. She was incomparably holy, like a fairy from the 9 heavens descending to the mortal world. Her body bloomed with holy light, and with every step she took, a milky white lotus flower would appear in the sky, supporting her feet. 9th Princess. Thank you, Yanjuan. Many people's eyes were attracted by this figure. She was Xian Yanjuan, one of the 5 beauties of the central continent and ranked 2nd among the 5 young tycoons. This proud daughter of the heavens, a proud daughter of the heavens who had gathered thousands of halos on her. Lu Ming's gaze also fell on her. Her appearance was very similar to Xian Yanqing's, but her temperament was completely different. Lu Ming had long known that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had the same father but not the same mother. It was amazing that they looked so similar. Xian Yanjuan stepped into the air and stood in front of the crowd. He looked at Lu Ming and said in a cold and arrogant voice, Lu Ming, you were the one who took Xian Yanqing away, right? Hand her over, the variant of the Xie family with a lowly and dirty bloodline. She will guard the demon area of hell forever and hunt down the Masha clan for the Xie family to compensate for what she owes the Xie family. Ha, laughable, truly laughable. Xian Yanjuan's words made Lu Ming burst out laughing uncontrollably. You're saying that Yanqing owes your Xie family? You really know how to distort the truth. In my opinion, it's your Xie family that owes Yanqing, and you won't be able to pay it back in your lifetime. Lu Ming laughed out loud. Her bloodline has tarnished the reputation of the royal Xie family. What else does she owe the Xie family? Xian Yanjuan said with a frown. Dogs hit. All of you are fucking bullshit. A bunch of self-righteous people. What is your Xie family? What was the royal family? No wonder the ancient Saint dynasty has become so weak. To be controlled by such a group of short-sighted people, it would be strange if they aren't weak. In my opinion, the ancient Saint dynasty should be destroyed. Lu Ming shouted loudly, his voice spreading throughout the entire venue. Especially the last sentence, the ancient Saint dynasty shall be destroyed, which made many people's hearts tremble. He was too bold. He was simply too audacious. Lu Ming actually dared to say such words in public. This was an insult to the royal Xie family and a slap to their face. Sure enough, many people from the imperial family and the Xie family went crazy. Their faces turned red as they angrily rebuked. Chapter 1161. 1161 Xian Yanqing vs. Xian Yanjuan. Audacious, impudent, and arrogant. He's looking for death. Let me kill him. Let me cripple him and let him taste the most painful punishment in the world. The imperial family's Xie clan's people shouted in anger, releasing cold killing intent. Boom! Xian Yanjuan's body exploded with a shocking aura. Her beautiful eyes were filled with killing intent. The powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming as she said in a cold voice, Lu Ming, saving your life back then was the biggest mistake I've ever made. But it's fine. It's the same if I kill you today. It might not be enough. Lu Ming gave a contemptuous smile. Xian Yanjuan's cultivation was very strong. He was at the peak of the third level of the spiritual god realm. His aura was powerful and his body contained a terrifying amount of energy. Lu Ming felt that he was even stronger than Dark Child. If Lu Ming were to fight her during the million-year sacrifice, he would not have the confidence to win. But now, he didn't care about Xian Yinjuan. Lu Ming, don't think that you're the best in the world just because you defeated Dark Child. If I had made a move back then, I would have been able to suppress you. Xian Yinjuan took another step forward. His aura was powerful, and his body glowed with a milky white light, making him look even more holy and noble. Could it be that Xian Yinjuan is going to fight Lu Ming? Many people's eyes were filled with anticipation. In the million-year national sacrifice, Lu Ming had defeated many powerful figures in a row, showing his invincible attitude. In the end, when he faced Long Qin, Lu Ming admitted defeat directly. Many people regretted that they did not see who was the strongest. Xian Yinjuan did not take part in that battle. This caused many people to discuss in secret, comparing Xian Yinqing and Lu Ming to guess who was stronger. After all, Xian Yinqing was ranked second among the 5 giants of Central Continent, second only to Long Qin. He had never fought anyone before, so it was hard to tell who was stronger. Was the battle finally about to begin? At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Then, he waved his hand and a ray of light flashed. Xian Yinqing appeared beside Lu Ming. Just now, Xian Yinqing had sent a message to Lu Ming through Dandan, saying that he wanted to come out. Lu Ming had let Xian Yinqing out. This is... Xian Yinqing attracted everyone's attention the moment he came out. In the sacred city, almost everyone's eyes fell on Xian Yinqing and then on Xian Yinjuan. They were shocked because the two were too similar. Why does this woman look so similar to Xian Yinjuan? They are both devastatingly beautiful. Who is she? I know. It's said that the current sage emperor has 3 princesses, all of whom are peerless in their generation. Among them, the 16th princess has been hidden by the royal family because she was born with a foreign bloodline. This girl should be the 16th princess. It should be. The 3 princesses of the current sage emperor are truly devastatingly beautiful. This 16th princess's beauty is not inferior to the 5 great beauties at all. I wonder how her martial arts talent is? A wave of discussion came from the surroundings. Many people had long heard of the name of the 16th princess, but not many had actually seen her in person, so they were naturally surprised. So, you really did leave the Abyss Demon territory with him. Now, surrender and go back to the Abyss Demon territory. Stay here and hunt the Fiend clan for the rest of your life. Don't even think about wandering outside and embarrassing the royal family. Xian Yinjuan looked at Xian Yinqing coldly. Xian Yinqing's face was cold as he stared at Xian Yinjuan. Xian Yinjuan, you don't have to put on that arrogant face. You've been loved by everyone since you were a child and you've been surrounded by halos. What a joke. Today, I'm going to stomp you under my feet and let the world see how weak your so-called holiness and so-called orthodoxy are. As Xian Yinqing's voice rang out, endless demonic qi surged from her body and her powerful aura clashed with Xian Yinjuan's. If you want to fight me, then I'll fulfill your wish. Xian Yinjuan said coldly. A milky white pillar of holy light rose from his body. At the same time, a black demonic qi rose from Xian Yinqing's body. One black and one white, the 2 beams of light collided in the air. Boom! The clouds in the sky were scattered, and a strong wind swept through. Let's go up and fight, Xian Yinqing said as he flew into the sky. Xian Yinjuan's eyes were cold as he too flew into the sky. One black and one white, the 2 light shadows collided and tore the space into pieces. Sky Devil Force Field. 9 Heavens Holy Domain. 2 delicate yells rang out as the 2 of them displayed their unique skills and fought in the air. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than a dozen blows. The attacks of Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan were very similar, but one was of the demonic Tao, while the other was of the holy Tao. Black lotus flowers appeared around Xian Yinqing and turned into lotus swords. As for Xian Yinjuan, milky white lotus flowers appeared around him. They also transformed into sword radiances and fought with Xian Yanqing. The sword Qi soared into the sky and the light was bright. For a moment, the two were locked in a fierce battle. The spectators all took in a cold breath and were extremely shocked. She's so strong. The 16th princess is so strong. She can actually fight with the 9th princess. That's scary. It turns out that the Princess 16, who has been hidden all this time, is also a peerless talent. She's too strong. She's definitely a heaven's favorite at the level of a giant. The royal family's generation is really full of talents. It's rare to see two giants in one sect. I really don't get it. A heaven's favorite with unparalleled talent like him is being suppressed by the imperial family and the Xie clan. If any other power had a heaven's favorite like him, they would do everything they could to nurture him. He'd be an unrivaled emperor in the future. The sound of discussion spread out, especially into the ears of the imperial family's Xie family. It was exceptionally harsh. What's the use of a mutant's talent? He should be suppressed, forever suppressed, or else he'll be a traitor. Xie Zhen coldly snorted. He gritted his teeth in his heart, but there was a trace of fear in his eyes. Xian Yanqing was too talented. The more talented he was, the more afraid he was and the more he wanted Xian Yanqing to die. As he mulled over this, Xie Zhen's gaze fell on Lu Ming. It was all because of Lu Ming. He had no idea what method Lu Ming had used to save Xian Yanqing from the Abyss Demon Realm. Lu Ming, I advise you to surrender. You won't be able to escape today. Surrender and I'll give you a quick death. Xie Zhen said, killing intent flashing in his eyes. All right, you can make your move. If you can take one of my moves, I'll surrender. Lu Ming said contemptuously. Don't be so arrogant. Xie Zhen angrily rebuked. Lu Ming, I'll take you down. There's no need for the 8th prince to do anything. I'll kill you. A middle-aged brawny man stepped out. He had a powerful aura and his eyes were cold. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that this was an expert at the 7th level of the spiritual god realm. All right, Venerable Su, capture Lu Ming for me and you'll be heavily rewarded. Xie Zhen was overjoyed as he said. The brawny man was the royal family's venerable guardian. He was powerful and had a cultivation of the 7th level of the spiritual god realm. If he were to take action, Lu Ming would be taken down with 100% certainty. You want to make a move? Fine, get over here and accept your death. Lu Ming said contemptuously. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.